Hello, welcome back to Wake On My Bros. Where my bro right there is about to turn 26.
Yeah, in a
Like,
matter in a half an
damn.
hour.
Yeah. By the time we get down to random shit for 10 minutes, he's going to talk about existential crises and what it means to be 26 and not knowing what to do with his life. That's what we're
Well, I
going to
got an
get to.
idea.
Oh, well, you know what? There you go. Sure, he won't share it today, but that's all right.
Nope.
Welcome back to Weekend Movie Bros. I am Jacob. This is Idiot. And today we're going to be talking about our top best movies, worst movies, some Tom Holland, because, of course, and everything in between. Yeah.
hmm We got a lot to cover.
Now, Idiot, what is your name
My name's
for the
Ray.
odd? Thank you. Because, I say idiot, but they're not allowed to call you idiot. I can only do that because
This
I am your
shirt
brother.
represents my point of view and my feelings for today. He's
He's an
smiling.
Eeyore. That honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. One of the most terrifying shirts I've ever seen in my life.
What? That he's smiling.
Yep, that's real fucked up, Zachary. It's like real.
Alrighty. So since I kind of put this whole shindig together on the side, you get to pick the first story. We don't have to start with the first one if you don't want to. If there's something else you want to talk about, we can.
No, we'll start direct. We'll just go down the list. You have it. I think it's a good list. I might move the review above random shit, so we'll jump from random shit into the top. I think that would work much more like a steadier flow.
Okay.
Other than that, I think this is perfectly fine. Like I said, we have a lot of things to cover, but mostly this is best movies, worst movies of the year. Essentially, is what the
And you're gonna
majority.
get
I'm
a
pretty
non
sure.
and you're going to get a non-spoiler review for one of those films, whether it be in our worst or our best. You'll find out when we get there.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the movie first, and then we'll talk about best or worst. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking
All
of
right.
movies that'll probably be in your best or worst, the mighty web of Spider-Man: No Way Home. Jacob, break it down. How's it doing? What's it looking like? You know the numbers.
I do actually. I just looked it up to bring him to show you.
Well,
Isn't that
hey, howdy,
amazing?
hey.
Oh damn it! I didn't. Hold on. Let me zoom in. Let's get to 150. You can see.
I can
So
see.
let's start with its opening weekend, and then we'll move over into where it's at currently, because I think that's just more interesting. I just want to talk about Spider-Man numbers for its
hmm
opening weekend because obviously that's not this weekend's box office. It's not really important to us anymore. But
Yes.
for its opening weekend, not including worldwide total, because I just can't give that to you because I don't have that number anymore. It's so much higher than it was initially. It opened with $260 million here in the United States. And I'm going to tell you that much, guys. That's more than most
Anything.
movies. Well, yeah, actually, he's right. It's more than anything. And I mean just domestically and grand total, like worldwide, everything. It's more than everything. Except
As of
for now it is, but as of that weekend, the only ones that were beating it were No Time to Die and F9.
that's
That's
no
it.
longer the case.
That is no, nope, 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 nope.
As of today,
Also,
this is Sony's biggest movie of all time. As of today.
which we will talk about when we get there, I would also like to mention because I think it's important to note before we talk about where it's at currently and this past weekend's box office. I find that to be very fascinating because movies did come out for Christmas, and
hmm
for this one specifically, I'm pretty sure China didn't give a release date
It
because it
still hasn't.
did when it reached the $1 billion club. So it wouldn't take over the. No, I know it probably won't get a release date. Is my best guess, but I'm pretty sure that's the reason why because they won number one spot on the worldwide top 10. I just find it ironic, and that's all I'm going to say. All right, so this is. Were you excited? Were you happy with this number, Zachary?
Are you well, when we were talking about numbers going into the weekend, you didn't think you thought it would crack to 200. You didn't think it would go past 250.
Yeah, I
I was on the camp that it was going to hack at least 220, 240 by the time we were done. 260, man. Kudos to this fucking film. I mean, when you look back at the numbers per theater and the average theater that weekend was getting $59,000 per theater. It's insane. It just shows. I think it showed what 2021 kind of symbolized for most people, and that people were not comfortable to go back to the theaters even this year. But when it came to Spider-Man, it was the film everybody wanted to get together to go see. Like not even Shang-Chi, which I think is a better superhero movie. Um Not even that got people back into the theaters. And so
But I find it very interesting because, for instance, the two movies like for Black Widow and F9 when that came out, there was like a grace period in COVID. Like for
yeah.
like 2 weeks, COVID did not exist. It was a great moment in life. Wish we were there. I'm not because we wouldn't have Spider-Man, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
mentally, I want to be there, not physically. And F9 flourished through that because that grace period. Black Widow did not. One, I think, could argue because of the Disney Plus early access, but also Jungle Cruise had much better legs and stuff in the top 10,
Mhm.
even with the access thing. So I'm not really sure, but I think that's very interesting. Shang-Chi did much better than it's the second for Marvel this year. Then it goes, I think,
Black
Black
Widow, then
Widow, and then
Eternals.
Eternals, which it does suck for Eternals. It does make me a little sad for the movie, but not real sad, as you will find out. But it, you know, all right. Now let's talk about this weekend because this weekend, oh, it was beautiful. Now the drop itself for Spider-Man, I was disappointed with. I think it could have opened better. It was a very high number, but I was really expecting it to open with like 100, another
Mhm.
100 million to its gross.
Yeah.
It didn't do it. So I'm not really happy with the 67% drop because even like Endgame had like a better, drop and it was much higher. So
Yeah.
that would be the only thing that I'd take away from this. It's kind of sad. Everything else, good for them. Like, I mean, just good for them in general, but like good for them.
But can we talk about this for a second? So Sing 2 made
Yes.
22 million. It was second biggest movie of this past weekend. Look how much that poor Matrix film made.
Now, I would also like to mention, and so the chart that we're looking at is for December 24th through 26th. Seeing Matrix and everybody else opened on Wednesday of that week. So all of these opened on
No,
this
Sing was
actually.
Christmas Day.
Yeah, that'd be Wednesday. Yeah.
No, Christmas Day was Saturday.
No. Sing 2 opened on Wednesday. That's when
You
all these
sure?
open. Yeah, I'm positive because we were looking at tickets for Wednesday of last week to go see it again. And so the actual number that it made, including all those days, is 39. So like Matrix
But still,
actually
look how
opened.
much Matrix
I,
made.
I agree. I agree. I agree. But I also would like to mention this is a much smaller movie, but American Underdog was actually playing in my theater since last Friday for early screening access. And that's not too bad for like a religious flick, but like
No.
that's kind of sad. Either way, I agree. Matrix
Also,
Resurrection.
by the way, look at Encanto. Just from going on to Disney Plus Christmas Eve, it dropped to number 9, only making 1.8 million with a total gross of 88. Man, that's sad.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where does Encanto. Encanto only made up to 194 compared
At
to
least it passed the century mark.
worldwide.
Yeah,
It should have passed the century mark. Stateside. There actually
I
has
agree.
not been an animated film this year
To pass the
that
century.
from Disney that has passed the century mark because this did better than Raya, but it didn't do like as good.
And in my personal opinion, Raya was a better movie.
I still have yet to see Encanto, so I can't speak to that, but Zachary sure can. He did watch it. And then Matrix is up to 68 million worldwide.
I don't think I think it's going to hit the century mark. I think that's where it's going to stop.
I don't even know if it's gonna. Oh, worldwide is that what you mean?
Yeah,
It still has quite a few markets still to hit overseas, so it could pop off. I mean, I don't really see it popping off, but it could
it
pop
won't
off.
it won't cross century over here in the States probably.
I don't think so either, and I don't even know if we can blame this directly on HBO Max because
HBO Max.
it didn't do really well. Like its numbers
No.
are pretty low over on HBO Max that have been released. Spider-Man No Way Home, though, I can't wait to talk about that. This is a video day. And I also like to, Kingsman didn't open great. I'm gonna say this movie costs upwards of 80 to 90 million is my best guess. And the advertisement was real sly. So I'm actually gonna say it's probably around there. And so hopefully this can do well. It's a great film. If you're on the fence of seeing it, I highly recommend you guys go see it. We'll talk about Matrix when we get there. It's up to you. I do think it is worth the theater experience and things.
That's what I figured when we talked about it.
Yeah, it is worth the theater experience. I'd also like to mention the Licorice Pizza did raise its count by 782 theaters, which means it did have a 2,000+% raise.
Good for it.
As it's being boycotted as we speak.
Jeez.
I don't think anything's come out of that, but we'll see.
Good God, Irene.
So, to compare numbers, on the 26th of December, that was like 4 days ago, it was at 470 million. That's a great number. Honestly, if it didn't do anything better than that, that would be great. Good for Spidey, No. It's like I want it to be more even. This is impossible. This is impossible to do on like a normal like box office count.
Look how close that is.
There's only a few movies in the world that have done business like this. Most movies that are billion-dollar club winners are really high in the international markets, really low in the domestic markets. Don't know why it always works out this way, but it always works out this way. Domestic's always like 200 million, whereas like, international's like 800 million.
Well, look, Bond's a great example of that. No Time to Die. International's higher
F9?
than domestic. F9, same thing. International's higher than domestic.
Yes. And this is just fucking phenomenal. And we're 12 days out. This reached $1 billion on the 11th day. It also has it beat Infinity War, which is amazing.
It tied Force Awakens.
And it tied Force Awakens. Actually, it beat Force Awakens. That's the article I read. This number right here is officially beat Force Awakens, which is insane. And it beat its predecessor, Far From Home. It made more money than Far From Home in 12 days in a pandemic. I'm sorry. It's mind-boggling. It's fucking mind-boggling.
So here is where I am kind of worried about No Way Home. In that it hit such a high over these past 2 weeks. Like, it hit the high of all highs of any film over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
When January hits and we start getting into and hopefully getting into a regular kind of scheduling of films coming out, I think Spider-Man could hit PVOD by the end of the month in December. Not December, in January. I think Sony would look at these numbers and feel like, we're good. It made what it needed to and then some. I think we're ready to start moving on to PVOD next for this because people want this in their house now.
The only thing... Okay, so we talked about this beforehand. For January, there's only 2 movies that are coming out in January that I think could honestly be like, I'm going to put up a fight against you.
Contenders.
Yeah. That would be Scream, which comes out the 14th. It might not. It's in the past, Scream has never been it's always been much more bigger in PVOD than it is in like actual box office. It's also, it's more a cult thing and people don't show up for cult things. It's just what it is. And
Morbius,
which I think has a possibility of opening really big because of all the questions that we have. The review scores for both those movies could affect that completely and so forth. And so, Scream opens with like a 90% Rotten Tomatoes, which is highly doubtful. I think it's going to be in the 70s, my best guess. Maybe lower than that. I think Morbius is definitely going to be lower than that, is my best guess. I'm thinking 50s. But who knows? These could be...
I completely disagree. I'm guessing at least 75% for Morbius.
These could be phenomenal movies, just horrible trailers. Very possible. And I would also like to mention, and this is just something else to keep in mind, when figuring out kind of what to do with this movie as we continue going daily. These are still making $20 million a day. That's
Yeah.
insane. That shit does not happen. I can show you. I have proof, like other movie proof. This does
I
not
mean,
happen.
seriously, look at Friday. It made $121 million Friday. That's not including Thursday preview showings.
That is
And it
including
just kept,
Thursday preview showings.
is it? Oh,
Yes.
I
They
mean,
get
just look
whopped
at that.
in.
It just kept going and going and going and going and
And like I
going.
think this is great. Like this up here, phenomenal. But this I think was more expected. You know, these numbers right here, I think were much more in line. I mean, they're insane, and I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it was much more in line. I think as we went on, as this week went on, and the numbers didn't really dwindle that much, I think is crazy. And the fact that it picked back up into the 30s on
Back on Saturday.
Christmas is phenomenal, and how it stayed in the 30s and then now it's finally getting, kind of dropping a
Go,
little as we go back through the week. But
yeah.
this is what we call legs.
So this makes me wonder if, like, during the week, this movie will be in the 20s to $25 million per week, and then once Saturday and Sunday hit back, where people are off school, they're going to race right back in and go see it right back again. We'll see it back in the 30s.
And so that's what I'm curious about. So I'm really curious about the third weekend. Luckily enough,
Mhm.
it's not, if they open with 40 million or something, that's a 50% drop. I think Spider-Man itself is kind of ready to drop down to the lower numbers
Yeah.
just so the drops can get a
How
little bit more
nuts would it be if
steady.
it didn't?
That's what I mean. And
Because nothing's coming out next week.
no, this weekend there's nothing. Or if we come
There's
into
a
this
good
weekend.
chance if Spider-Man wanted to have a surge again and for some odd reason make another $80 million next weekend, it could.
Yeah.
It really, really, really could, because I don't think Matrix is going to get the legs it doesn't need right now. I don't think it will get. Sing 2 possibly has got a shot,
Yeah, I
maybe.
would say the only one in this list, looking at it, judging it, it's probably Sing 2.
I
Never
think
doubt a kids film.
if Spider-Man say drops from 80 to 40, then Sing will be number 1 next weekend, with probably like a 30, 35 million probably next weekend. So it would be number 1 going into next
Wednesday.
week. Yeah.
But look at this. This is about normal. This is
That's
normal.
but that's consistent though.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good. Which is why, it's up to 54. It deserves it. This is a fucking phenomenal film. It's absolutely amazing. But that being said, that is Spider-Man.
The mighty web of Spider-Man.
And there's a lot of things spawning out of it. And I know we talked about doing a spoiler review. I think we still have plans for doing that. It
Yes, we
came
do.
out right around Christmas. Give us some time, guys. Plus,
We'll
I
get
wanted
there.
to see it again. And then it's just been a really stressful few weeks. But we will definitely have one coming out in the new year for sure. I was actually
Yes.
thinking about maybe doing a live for it, um, having a
I like
live
that idea.
review. So that's possible. We'll figure it out. Just wanted to play it out there because we did mention that we were going to have one. I don't think I want to talk about it in a podcast. I want to have its own separate thing.
Yeah.
I'm not really worried about spoiling the movie. If you've not seen
Because
it yet, you're probably
that
not
that
going to.
no, at that point then it's you've made that decision.
So, all right, let's pack back over here and let's talk about the bat.
So this genuinely threw me for a curveball. I was randomly going through internet stories over the past week, just to see what was going on within the world, and I saw this. I'm like, this isn't true. This can't be real. There's no way they would do this to this movie. And sure enough, the CEO and chairman, the idiot of HBO right now, was like, no, 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 it's true. April 19th, 2022, they're putting the Batman on HBO Max, and I don't get it. Is
So,
this giving us an indication of what they're thinking of the movie?
no, no, no. So let me try to explain it for you. Because I think your answer, like I don't get it, is a very valid answer. But I think once I do start to kind of show you what their plan is, I think it would make more sense. I personally, if I was a business person and with it being theaters only, I would have kept this a secret
I
and
would have.
announced it closer to when the actual release on HBO Max is going to be. in April, been like, oh my God, guys, now you guys get to watch it at home, type of thing. That's what I would
Yeah.
have done. I would not have said that this early on.
Like
So I think that was like a big
early is an
mistake.
understatement here. They announced this almost 3.5 months in advance. I mean, why?
So I think what they're trying to do, and I think this is what I think they're using the Batman as an example because it's the next Warner Bros. Picture that's coming out for 2021. There isn't really any coming out before that that I'm
2022.
aware of. 2022. Oh my God, you're right. But either way, um, by the time you see this podcast, we're all older. Fucking insane. Either way, but I think it's the first one coming out for them. I could be wrong. You could. I don't know. I don't have a list
I
in
don't
front of
think.
me. I don't think anything comes out in February for them. I know nothing comes out in January for Warner Brothers, but
Yeah,
I don't think anything comes out in
February might be a
February.
different case. I'm not sure.
I don't know. Either
Neither do
way,
I.
so I think they're using it as an example. Everybody was wondering, what are you going to do? 2021, you decide to put your whole slate on HBO Max. They can't do that again because that was a colossal fucking failure. Like, fuck. They struggled. So I
I
think that
I I want to buy a documentary on that movie on that so badly.
So I think personally, what they're trying to do, they're like, hey guys, look at the Batman. It's a hot ticket, right? Well, guess what? In 45 days, to give you guys some security, it's going to pop up on HBO Max. Just like what kind of Disney Plus is doing with these, or like they're releasing them directly onto Disney. I think that's what they
Yeah,
were trying to prove. They should not have probably used the Batman.
but here's my thing though. If we look at that scenario that Disney did say with Encanto, right?
Yeah.
It was in theaters for about a month, and then they
Now,
put it on.
it will be in theaters for 45 days. That is what this is saying.
Right.
It's 45 days after the release.
But let's say, for some odd, I mean, I hope it does. For some odd reason, Batman, it doesn't hit Spider-Man's numbers, like whatever, but it's consistent. Like it's bringing in, say, 20 to 30 million dollars every weekend, and like throughout the week, it's bringing in 15. Why, even after 45 days, if it's still continuously raking you in money,
Because
why would you do that?
the new theater window is 45 days. That's the reason why. Most movies, if it's, let's say, okay, for instance, Spider Man, okay, let's say Spider Man is still tracking amazingly 45 days from now, which is highly possible. I'm not doubting it, but let's say so. Sony will more than likely put it on PVOD sometime very soon after that. I would say within the week or so after that. And that is because right now the window is shortened from 90 days, which is a normal window before pre pandemic, is down to 45 days. So
But
every
is it?
movie
But
going,
isn't it different for everybody? Like, isn't
no,
Universal different from everybody else?
Universal is the only exception. You are correct. And I'm curious, they've not re upped any deals yet. So I don't know if this is going to continue on into the new year. I don't remember what that deal specifically stated, but that was a questionable if it was 17 days or 45. They got to choose. But that's only in
When
certain
does
theaters, though.
when does the Discovery thing go through between Discovery and
I think it's
HBO and Warner?
2023.
Could they start implementing things that they wanted to
No,
next year?
they
No.
can't start implementing things until they actually have a very big basis. For
Does
instance, a
this
lot of
worry you? Does this worry you for numbers for Batman going into March?
no, because they fucking hid this headline. Like, you know how I found out about this? I
From
would have
me?
found out about this tonight from you. No, I did not. I found out about this the day it dropped because of IGN. IGN had released like a 4-minute video on it saying, and I was like, no way. They did not announce the HBO Max release, just like you. I was like, they didn't do that. That's so
This isn't
stupid.
real.
And so I clicked on it. So I have a strong feeling is that people are just going to be really shocked when it comes on. They're going to start promoting it normally like in April. I think it's going to do fine. I don't think this is going to affect it at all because we are going to know about it, but the casual Batman viewers who are really excited for this movie going to have no fucking clue. So I think it's fine, but I think it is a very interesting story though. I think they should have just used a different movie. And also, I think they're nervous because I'm pretty sure The Flash is going to get postponed
Pushed.
uh, to possibly 2023.
And with how Batgirl's looking now, like they gotta get something. Listen, man, Batgirl is its own No Way Home scenario all on itself. I mean, good God, Irene.
I mean, everything that's coming out about the Batgirl right now was already out, but it's just more scary because it's being confirmed.
Hearing it cohesively together. Michael Keaton as Batman, J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon. How? Leslie Grace as Batgirl. How? The only thing that's remotely still have my interest in this movie is Brendan Fraser as Firefly. That's got my interest currently.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Lizelle Grace as Batgirl.
Yeah, they just have to explain a lot.
But I'm not really looking forward to them doing Batman Beyond.
We don't know if it's Batman Beyond yet. They haven't
It's
said that yet.
gonna be Batman Beyond, Zachary. That's what
I don't think so. I think they
Every
heard the. I think they heard the uproar.
I really hope so. I really hope I'm wrong, but I don't.
I think the Batman Beyond thing is equivalent to Sonic's design.
I hope so. I fucking hope so.
Because we're not asking you to change the design. We're just asking you to, let this be a Batgirl movie, and then let it be Batman Beyond. Don't try to mesh the two of them because it's just not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
I mean, I just think a lot of people are gonna be really mad because Batgirl has so many great storylines as it is that they could do that she doesn't need to be Batman Beyond, like Batgirl Beyond. It does not need to be that. And yet, if you're
They've already done the greatest animation version of Batgirl ever with Batman the Killing Joke. Are you kidding me? Those first 25 minutes are perfect. There's nothing wrong with that. I can't say that without smiling, man. It's a bunch of bullshit. Never
I
watched
think we
that
saw that in like 2017,
in
and I'm
theaters.
pretty sure that was my worst movie of that year. So if that doesn't tell you how I feel about that statement, I don't know what does.
That was a joke.
I know, but like just even the thought of it just made me like want to gag and throw up. Oh, that does remind me, for anybody who's curious, if you want to watch, The Long Halloween with us, part 1 and part 2, it's officially on HBO Max now, so you can watch both parts with us as a movie commentary if you want to. All right, just wanted to plug it.
By the way, I did watch back to back. By the way, I did what you were gonna do, Jacob. It works so much better if you do them back to back.
I figured it would.
It works so. Like, don't get me wrong, I like both individual films, but it works like so. Oh, Jacob, you're gonna love The Long Halloween after you watch them back to back.
See, and that's what I thought, because like the ending of the first part was just so good, and then we had to wait. So annoying.
The best part about that was he didn't even want to watch them. I had to convince him to do that one.
I did, yeah. I did not want to watch The Long Halloween. I was more interested in the credits, like the bonus stuff, and I still have yet to watch Injustice. So I think that's just tells you something.
I'm staying away from that.
I know, whatever. I just don't like fighting game stories. So I've never really played. I didn't play Injustice, so like I wasn't that mad if they were going to do it because I didn't play the game because I don't enjoy story mode in those games. I enjoy killing people in those games, like you're playing it together. But either way, it doesn't that matter. Moving on. Let's go down Tom Holland.
So I was listening to a podcast and they brought this question up, and I brought this up to you when I was purchasing something earlier, and I genuinely want to talk about this. So when you look at Tom Holland's movieography, there are some definite winners within this group of films, but the man is now asking $10 million a film. Is that what people are speculating from Hollywood Reporter and Variety? Is that he's going to be asking for an extra figure on his salary going into after No Way Home because of how well it did. And when you look at it from an outside point of view, like, well, duh, that's an easy thing to do. The guy just made you $1 billion at your studio. Of course you would raise his figures higher. But then you have to really look at his filmography and ask yourself that question.
I am pulling up as we speak.
$10 million a movie. Like, does his name bring in the people you need to make your money back for it? That does not have the words Spider-Man in front of it. And when you look at his filmography, I'm being completely honest. I love Tom Holland. Jacob knows how much I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I think he's a great dude. I love watching interviews with him. His Hot Ones interview is my favorite interview of the year. It's so much fun to listen to him talk. But as a thriving movie star, he's not there.
Well, hold on. Okay, so I think here's and I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm a huge Tom Holland fan. Everybody knows this. It's not. I'm not. I don't really hide that very much in my. I just don't very. I just like Tom Holland. I think he's a great guy. Very cool, and things. So I looked up his filmography, like Zachary was saying. Let's view the filmography and things. This is a little bit more crowded, so I'm not going to pull it up on screen.
Yeah.
because it's just a little bit more crowded and stuff. But his first movie that we can say would be any type of box office, like we would expect it to do well, would be
Yeah.
Captain America: Civil War in 2016 as first appearance of Spider-Man. Everything before that were either he was in a TV show, it looks like, then he was also in movies that were either war films or were expected to do like $5 million. That was what he was until he became Spider-Man. Then he didn't have another film outside of that until Lost City of Z. That was not meant to do really well in theaters at a very short range because of Amazon. I'm putting these things in very much perspective here. Okay, and then we are gonna jump ahead. Nothing but Spider-Man for the next like 5 years. And then we have Spies in the Skies, which is the first one we can talk about because that was the first one outside of it was an animated film. It should have done well. Came out before the pandemic.
And it didn't.
I don't remember. So I'm looking it up as we speak.
But I mean,
Spies in Disguise. I mean, this was a great cast. And it made 171 million. It opened with where is my opening? Come on, guys. It did not open well. I'm just gonna put it out there.
so listen,
Good old 13.
When you brought up Chaos Walking, you said Daisy Ridley was top billing.
She is top billing.
When I mean by top billing, I mean the two names you see on top of the posters. For Spies in Disguise, it'd be Will Smith and Tom Holland. For Chaos Walking, it'd be Daisy Ridley, Tom Holland. He is top billed in that cast. He is the first name. He's the second name you see within that cast.
Yeah.
Therefore, he is top billed. When you look
Yeah.
when you look at films besides Spider-Man after he got the role that are top billed with his name on it, financially they have not done well for him.
Well,
at
okay,
all.
fine. So we have Spies in the Skies, Onward, Chaos Walking. Those are the three films that he's done outside of Spider-Man that played in theaters that were expected to do well. Everything else that I don't mention in this list is because they were either awards fair or whatever it might be. Onward is a very interesting. We'll junk it there because it came out like 12 days before the pandemic, and so it only played in theaters for 12 days. Or it was a very, very short amount of time, is what I mean. It opened with 39 million, which is relatively really well, especially for a movie like that. This is pre-pandemic. And it grossed a total 141, which is actually not that bad because of its very short window that it had because it went directly onto PVOD because people were wanting to watch Onward and they couldn't watch Onward. Makes sense. Chaos Walking. Yeah, no, this is bad. This is bad. This is the only one in here that I completely agree. And it was supposed to be a big movie. It opened with 3 million. That's horrible. With a grand total of 26 million overall.
Okay, so for just going off those three, I
Yeah,
do not want to include Spider-Man in this conversation.
I think it's important though.
Yes,
to
it's
include
important, but
Spider-Man.
I want to focus on these three. When studios are looking at actors to bring into bigger franchises, they are looking at their collective whole, not just a single thing that they did. And when you're looking at films outside of the MCU with Spider-Man, he has not financially done well for those studios. Collectively, he has not. And to me, if he was asking for say 5 to 7 million, that would make more sense to me. Asking for 10 million to me is like Robert Downey Jr. asking for 50 for Iron Man. It doesn't make logistically sense for anybody because even Robert Downey Jr. suffered this from outside the MCU. The Judge didn't do well for him. Doolittle panned.
I personally feel like we won't really know the answer to this question because, and I'm going to be honest with you, Spies in the Sky and Onward are the two movies out of those three because Chaos Walking was projected to do horrible. It wasn't even like a questionable horrible. It was projected to do horrible.
But
and that's all because of
three, though.
The 2 out of the 3, but also Onward, technically, Spies in the Skies is really the only one we could talk about because Onward didn't have a chance. We actually don't know how well Onward would have done because it didn't have a chance, right?
So then fine. If we
and Spies in the Skies,
then if we look at Spies in the Skies and Chaos Walking, that's not a good resume.
I agree. But those are, except, like I said, we won't really know until Uncharted. Uncharted is the next really big movie, and hopefully, and it really depends on his career in Sony, because this is their next big franchise that they're really wanting to get off the gate. So if Uncharted opens horribly in March, then it's it's going to look very poorly on Tom Holland specifically. So I think the reason why he's doing this now, obviously, is because he doesn't want those numbers, so he can get whatever he wants. And I think he deserves it. I personally think he does. He's a very huge draw, especially if it's for Spider-Man. He's a huge draw for Spider-Man.
Yes, but he's a huge. But there's a difference between Spider-Man and these other three films we're talking about.
But what I'm
You're
trying to
not
say
you're
here
not
is that
just
what.
you're not just going off of Spider-Man. You're going off the
But
MCU as a whole.
I'm talking about. What do you mean? What?
The MCU as a whole. When you think about Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Hemsworth, the diehard Marvel fans did not go see, The Judge. They did not go see
I mean,
Doolittle,
obviously,
but they went and watched Marvel because it had the word Marvel in front of it. When you look at the numbers for Tom Holland's films outside of the MCU, they do not match what you would think for an MCU film.
but he's asking for 10 million for an MCU movie.
No, he's asking for 10 million moving forward. That's his asking number for each
Yeah.
picture he goes to, not just
The article
Marvel.
that I read was for the next Spider-Man movie. They're doing contract negotiations right now as we speak to get him signed on for the next 3 movies, and he's asking for 10 million for Spider-Man movies.
Well, I
Not for other.
I would not say yes to him, even if it's.
I would
Sony to
say
Uncharted
yes,
to-
especially for Spider-Man movies. I would say yes. I feel like he has deserved it for Spider-Man movies.
He hasn't.
In
earned it
my
as an
personal
actor.
opinion,
He hasn't earned it as an actor though. For Spider-Man, fine, but he hasn't earned it as an actor.
I'm not saying
hasn't-
as an actor. I'm saying for Spider-Man movies, which is what he was asking. We see the few articles that I read as you brought up this question. I had a few times where I watched The Matrix. I ran through a few different articles. All the articles that I read specifically said that these were accounts for Spider-Man movies as they're going to negotiations for the next trilogy for Sony. Specific, because I mean Marvel's in there, but you know what I mean. And so he's asking for 10 million, and I think just for him launching 2 movies into the $1 billion club. And the last Spider-Man Far From Home sure had like Samuel Jackson and stuff in it, which is cool. Good for Nick Fury. And he has a great track record. But it was mostly Tom Holland. I mean, that was a really this No Way Home, you can say that's for a whole bunch of different reasons. It made $1 billion because of this or whatever. Maybe it isn't specifically for Tom Holland. But Far From Home, that was very much for Tom Holland specifically. And that made $1 billion.
We disagree. I don't think I don't think his credit's been earned yet for that 10 million. Outside of Spider-Man, I don't think it has.
And I'm not saying outside of Spider-Man, yeah, I agree. I don't think so. We'll have to wait until Uncharted, and then we can figure that out. Which is probably
why I don't think, even though it's a Sony property, I think Sony should wait and see if he's not just a one-trick pony for them, and it's not just Spider-Man.
Here's the thing: is that his team is probably telling him and probably telling Sony that if we don't sign now, we're not signing at all.
I don't know. I thought this was interesting because
I think this is an interesting conversation. I'm not mad or anything. I'm just my personal opinion, like your personal opinion. I very much agree. Honestly, if I was him, and I'm sure they're probably gonna do back end deals and stuff, which is how because 10 million is actually really not like that much money for a movie star, especially in his regard and things. So hopefully for him, he's getting back end deals and things like that because he deserves a bit of the pocket from the actual money that's being made from the movie, because he is a very big selling point. They're selling his face on the movie and things. Now, like I said, No Way Home, bit more questionable because of all the extra shit, It wasn't just like, let's go watch, he had the best arc in the movie, but like, it wasn't just like his, his shit. But for Far From Home, they were selling Tom Holland. I mean, that's why. And we were going off of the first one, Homecoming. Homecoming didn't really do that well. It wasn't as great. But yeah, I don't know.
And people could argue the reason Far From Home did so well is because it was the film right after Endgame. Look at Infinity War. The film right after Infinity War was Captain Marvel, and it made $1 billion.
Yes, and Captain Marvel will, luckily enough, in I think it's in like 2 years, we'll get the test out. If that was a one shot, one pony. Yeah. I don't think it was.
I don't think it will be, but I think I do agree. If Spider-Man Far From Home did not come out, was not the next movie after Endgame, I don't think it would have hit $1 billion.
I think it would have. I do, but that's also because it's my favorite Spider-Man movie of all time. So I am biased. I will admit my
Still,
biasness. Huh? Yes.
No Way Home's not your favorite?
No. No Way Home is not my favorite. Far From Home is my favorite Spider-Man movie of all time.
I just watched the list where it was people's least favorite.
I know. It annoys me every time I see it.
Speaking of annoyances, let's talk about The Matrix.
Well, I mean, sure, we could talk about The Matrix, but like I said, we have two very different opinions about this movie.
So, I like to go first because I saw it first.
Be my guest.
We watched a movie earlier this year called Space Jam: A New Legacy, where Warner Brothers was put as the villain of their own film. I don't get what Warner Bros. Was doing this year to make themselves look like the villains twice, but they did.
Really bad idea. I do agree.
And The Matrix Resurrections to me is my most disappointed film of the year. I've been looking forward to this movie all year. Jacob knows this. This has been one of my most anticipated films of 2021. And I will say this much for me. I can go back and watch Resurrections and be fine and never watch 2 and 3 again. Because, like I told you, you did not need to watch Matrix 1, 2, and 3. This movie literally spoon feeds you all 3 movies.
We have very different opinions about all of this, but that's fine.
And I think where I love Yawal Abatin II, that man does not need to be in this movie. A certain other actor should have been in this film. That's all I'm going to say. Now, I have highlights of this film. Neil Patrick Harris, Jonathan Groff, Keanu Reeves, and Carrie Ann Moss. Oh, and Jessica Henwick. These 5 actors to me helped me not fall asleep during this film. They were all genuinely great in this movie. I loved Keanu because he was just Keanu. Carrie Ann felt like she never left this series at all. She just picked up right where she left off. But to me, the highlights were these 3, these brand new people. Neil Patrick Harris to me was a scene stealer the entire time he was on screen. His monologue toward the end of this movie is just perfect. Jonathan Groff as this Matrix's Smith is perfect. I think him and Keanu have more engaging chemistry than Keanu and Hugo did, ironically. I think they just meshed well together. But Jessica Henwick, man, if you've never seen Iron Fist, she's the highlight of that show.
She is.
She is the highlight of this movie. She is so good in this film. I loved her character. I loved what she represented. And she gave energy to this movie that it wasn't having for a little bit. When she left the screen after the opening, I was very upset. But they make so many stupid decisions in this film that make no goddamn sense at all. They make you ponder why. And if this was a giant FU from Lana Wachowski to Warner Brothers, it didn't work at all. And that end credit scene, I've seen a lot of end credit scenes this year. That is one of the most stupid end credit scenes to a movie I have ever fucking seen. I absolutely hated this movie. Performances from those 5 aside, the rest of this did not work at all. Jada Pinkett Smith was way over the top. Her return as Niobe did not work for me at all. It was cool seeing her. They bring in ideas that they don't mention ever again. And then, of course, the Morpheus in the room. It stood out so much the entire movie. And it hurts more knowing that both Hugo and Lawrence wanted to come back for this.
Yeah, but Hugo couldn't come back because of scheduling conflicts. I mean, that wasn't really because someone was like, "You can't come back." Now, Florence.
But that was for Lawrence.
Yeah. I mean, the other one was very much like, "You can't come back."
And no one in the world understands why. No one knows why. The story would have fit better.
I have a few theories.
But no, this is not my number 1 worst movie of the year. But it is easily in my top 10. This movie but on a spectacle point of view, there are certain shots in this film I'm never going to forget. And you can attest to me on that one. And I'm very jealous of you too, because you got to see this movie in theaters, whereas I watched it here at home. So I guarantee you, there are certain shots that we can't talk about because of spoiler reasons. That
Mhm.
when we get into it together, we're gonna just go crazy for it because there are shots in this movie that are just absolutely gorgeous. But this is also the worst action in any of the Matrix movies. It's not shot well. It's not executed well. Everybody feels very, very slow. There's a random ass cameo during a fight scene that Jacob probably recognized from Matrix Reloaded that took me way out of the fight. He was just standing around putting out a bunch of gibberish, and it made no sense. That's Matrix for me.
So me and Zachary have very different opinions about Matrix Resurrections. So if you don't like Matrix Resurrections, this is not the non-spoiler review for you. If you do like Matrix Resurrections, this is the non-spoiler for you. So let me go into my opinions and viewpoints, okay? I will have to say, and this is really interesting, I did not like the first 40 minutes of this movie at all. I actually kind of hated it. I was really sad. I was watching it and I was like, damn it. No, come on, be good. Come on. I can sense it. I can feel it. I know you're there. I know it's in there. And I think that is the most, if we're going to talk about
Annoying
like
thing.
annoying things about this movie, is that it's there and you can feel it. And when it's not trying to be this meta extra bullshit thing that is the first like 30 minutes of this movie, I think it really
Good
works.
God.
I think it really truly works. I'm also personally on the off chance of I think you should watch the first 3 Matrix movies for seeing this. I don't think it spoon feeds you. I think it spoon feeds you the ending of the trilogy. Sure, I agree with you 110%. Spoon feeds you, motherfucker. But everything else before that, if you're not there and you don't understand the connections between the characters and stuff, you're gonna be lost as fuck. I do think you should watch the first 3 films. I disagree full hardly with all these statements going around. I also am a huge fan of this ending of this movie. It was my favorite part of the whole entire film. I was super
No, I didn't mention that. No, I love the ending of this movie. Everybody's taking this ending such the wrong way,
I know,
and
I
it's not
agree.
that way at all.
And I personally, I feel like if you watch the final shot, you can see that everybody is taking it the wrong way because it
It's
very much
completely the wrong
shows.
way.
Either way, we can't talk about it here, obviously. But
Yeah.
I fucking
I
love.
agree with you 110%. The ending's being taken completely wrong. It's a great the ending, but it's the setup though.
Hold on. I'm getting there. I loved the setup. I loved every single. I even liked the outside world stuff.
Which
I
you're looking
like
forward to
Jade.
the least.
Yeah, I was. I like Jada Pinkett Smith. I thought she did a great job. My only issue here, and this is where I think the movie does fall. I love Yabo. He's like one of my favorite actors, and I think he does a great job here. In my opinion,
No,
personally, I think he
he
does a
does
great
great.
job. I think he
He's
does a
just
better
not
job
him.
when he's not trying to impersonate the character that
Lawrence Fishburne.
he is based off of. But also, I think they do set it up the reason why they decided to go down this route. I think it's just really annoying because they could have had him for the opening and then transferred him into Lawrence Fishburne for the rest of the movie. And I think it would have worked beautifully. Have him
Yes.
there to have a great cameo, like, oh my God, it's you. Ah. And then, we get to go into Lawrence Fishburne as we get to explore the rest of the cast as they
Yeah.
go out of the opening. I don't want to spoil anything, but Zachary understands what I'm talking about when I
Yeah.
say that. And I'm going to say the same thing for Jonathan Groff. I fucking love Jonathan Groff.
He's not trying to impersonate Hugo Weaving.
He is for the first
And
time.
it's bad, man.
It's real bad. It's like real bad. But like I said, that's a part of like that first 30 to 40 minutes of the movie. So like, but once he decides to do his own version of Mr. Smith, and which I think The Matrix, if you go back and rewatch them, sets up that there are 1,000 Mr. Smiths out there, that Hugo Weaving was not the only one. So I'm okay with this choice as well. I think the problem here is cutting in the scenes with Hugo Weaving on top of Jonathan Groff. I think that's where the movie messed up. I think you should just left it alone and allowed him to do his own thing, or done what you guys decided to do and bring in Hugo Weaving once the change happened. That's all I'll say in that regard. Once that happened, then you bring in Hugo Weaving if that's what you so desire. And maybe that was the original plan, and then things happened and they had to rework it. I also did not like Keanu Reeves. This is not a spoiler for anybody who's been following anything. I don't think he can act for shit. And I don't know why you would put him in a movie where he has to act, because it did not work. The only time it worked was the ending. The end, like the actual ending of this movie, it worked amazingly. Paid off. But Oh, it was rough. And there's like long scenes where it's just him, and I was like, "Oh, you're adorable." But like that's all I could say about you is like you're adorable. Fucking adore Carrie Ann Moss.
She was so good in this movie.
One of the best parts of this whole movie.
By
Jessica
the way, did
Henwick,
you
who I'm
recognize her husband at all?
I
I
did
thought that was
great.
such a clever touch. He can't
Just
act, but I thought it was a
no,
clever touch.
nah. That's okay. That's okay. It was a nice little funny little thing. Jessica Henwick, I absolutely adore as well. I've seen
She
her in
was so
several
good.
things outside of Iron Fist, and I think she did an absolutely phenomenal job here. I think the only issue with her is that the VFX works did not really work well with her. And
I have
so
to ask you a question about her.
yeah, sure.
Do you think she made the right decision in choosing this movie over Shang-Chi?
No.
Because that was her choice. She could either do Shang-Chi, but she wanted to do Matrix.
I can understand why you want to do the Matrix over Shang-Chi personally, but I think she is probably going to play Katie, and more than likely, Katie doesn't have like a lot of action roles, in the movie, at least in this first one. I'm sure as the movies progress, is because they're very much a partner team that
Yeah.
you know. But also, I think it would have went over well because Aquafina really does have a lot of haters out there. So I think it would have worked in Shang-Chi's favor if they had a cast her instead. So I feel bad because I think she's so good in this movie,
She's so good.
and I liked her character, and I liked all the new characters, except there's like one or two that I wasn't a huge fan of, but I liked all the new little details that they brought in, the
The
ideas and
machines, man.
stuff.
The
So
machines thing
cool.
was so cool.
So cool. And I really like the only part of the ending that,
Hmm.
in my opinion, makes no sense whatsoever. Matrix itself, you have to kind of disbelieve a lot of things. So I let a lot of things go that maybe
Yeah.
Zachary didn't let go, which is fine. That's a personal preference type of thing. But Jada Pinkett Smith makes a decision in the last third of this movie that made no sense with her character throughout the entire movie. And that
I
was
know
the
which one
only
you're talking
thing
about, and I agree with you.
that made me mad about the ending. That's it. Everything else, like I said, this was a roller coaster. First 30, 40 minutes, did not like. I understood what they were trying to do. I did not like the execution.
Do you get my Space
Once,
Jam thing?
no, because Space Jam was horrible. This was not
No,
horrible.
but do you get my Warner Brothers thing about how Space Jam hates Warner Brothers, but also this
Yeah.
movie hates Warner Brothers?
And I mean, there's a few lines in that beginning of that movie that I just really felt bad for. Like, I could just see that she wrote those in that script because they were said to her. And I just like, I'm so sorry. You just need a hug.
The only
I
meta thing that I liked was the fact that what Thomas was going through is what I guarantee you Lana was going through about the process
That's
of
what I
getting
mean.
this
Yeah,
movie.
that's what I mean. And so I just felt bad, and I knew, and I think it also does not help. And this is not helping her going around doing interviews and stuff saying she did not want to make this movie. It's not helping
No.
whatsoever. Because I think in moments it really works. And also I have to agree with the action. I think certain action sequences I'm a huge fan of and I would love to rewatch. I don't think they're all horrible, personally, in my opinion. I don't think they're all horrible. I don't
The
think they're all
only
great.
the only redeeming one to me is the one in the office.
I hate the one in the office.
The office one and then the final fight, the final chase.
And
The rest of it I didn't like.
but with there that scene where Zachary's like, "Oh my god, look at that side character from Matrix 2 in there." The editing, I
It
just
was
did not
so bad.
I just did not. I think that was the biggest problem here, and it was because I just had rewatched Matrix and Matrix Reloaded, and not watched the third one because why would I? And I should have because I definitely did not remember that movie correctly. But that's besides the point. Kind of regret it, but
Road feed.
in that regard, yeah, like I said, I do think Also, this has nothing to do with it because they never address it, so don't worry, it's not a spoiler. Why isn't he blind anymore? I mean, they
Holy
kind of.
shit! I never thought about. Maybe it's because of what they do to him in
Yeah,
Trinity.
I guess I thought about that, and I'm like, oh, that's probably what it is,
But is
right?
that a sufficeable way of saying, hey, look, he could see again?
Also, I would also like to mention that this is going to be a problem, and this isn't really something I thought about while watching the movie. It was more like after the movie. There's a lot of suicide references and mental
Good
health
lord.
references in this movie,
There's
and
there's a thing in the movie called a swarm, and they do something with that swarm at the end of the
I.
movie,
But
and it
here,
made me so uncomfortable.
okay, we're two different human beings, and this is just proving it. When that happened with the swarm, I was like giddy. I was like, oh my god, yes, fucking do this. But I'm going to say this also, and I think this is going to be a controversial thought. I think this should have been PG-13. I do not think this should have been rated R. The only reason why this was rated R is because there's blatant nudity in it, which is I was real shocked by. Just gonna be honest with you, I was real shocked. And
there was a lot of shock nudity in 2021.
There was a lot of shock. That's true. Oh, but there was the nudity, which I guess you can't get around because the Matrix mythology. So I guess it had to be rated R for that regard. But the violence wasn't even really that violent.
No.
And I was really disappointed with that. Like, there's a lot of people that die in this movie. And most of them do the cool, like, destroying in the Matrix, which I enjoy. Like, I'm not mad about it because I like the visual of it. But, like, it could have been real gory. And they decided not to. They decided to pull back, which was a choice. But back to the mental health stuff, I got distracted because Zachary said that one thing. I don't like everything that they decide to do with that.
No.
We can't talk about the specific reasons because this is a non-spoiler review. But there's a character that Zachary definitely knows.
To be honest,
there's a character that Zachary definitely knows about that I just think having that be the bad guy, not the best choice. And I guess you cannot work around the pill angle because of the Matrix itself, and that was something that was brought up in the 90s, so forth and so forth. So I guess there is a few things you can't change because that would be changing what the movie is. But that was the only thing. And I watched a few reviews and they had mentioned, and I was like, oh, you know what? You're right. Yeah, I don't really enjoy that. But I didn't take it away that way. But I know other people could. So just be cautious when going into this. If you deal with things like that and you don't like therapists, that's not a spoiler, or you also don't like to take your medicine or anything like that, or you're suicidal, this is not really a movie for you. It's not really going to do anything for you. It's just going to end up more triggering you than anything else.
How did the end credit scene work for you?
So luckily enough, I was prepared, and I had a feeling it was going to be horrible. And it really did feel like, those throwaway Marvel end credit scenes that we get every once in a while.
SNL sketch.
It did. That whole sequence, the whole first 30 minutes felt like an SNL sketch.
So this is not a spoiler. In the first trailer, they used the song "White Rabbit." It's used in the movie. When that song plays, it feels like an SNL sketch the entire time.
It does. I love the song though.
Oh my god, the way they did it, like how it interrupts itself during it, I thought was brilliant, and that song works so well for this series.
Oh. All right. That's Matrix Resurrections. Like I said, I mean,
that was a good conversation.
Certain aspects of it I did not really like. Other aspects, I mean, and I walked in. I want to make sure because I know there can be people in the comments being like, "What the fuck? Matrix Resurrections was horrible." I walked into this with extremely low expectations because of everybody telling me to walk into this with extremely low expectations.
I told him.
I also had known about a lot of the drama behind the scenes, which I think does help with my expectations because there was a lot of problems on set. There's a lot of problems with outside of set. And
did you hear the story about COVID?
Yeah.
And how she wanted to use that to stop the movie being made.
And then there's story elements and things. This movie also had to go under reshoots because there's certain things that I knew about it that were not in this movie whatsoever. So they were cut, which I'm not mad about.
If they do end up making a Matrix 5, I'm saying this right now. I love the Wachowskis to death. Let them be a producer on this. I want Chad Stahelski to come in and do a Matrix movie.
No, I don't want Chad Stahelski. I want someone new. I want someone fresh. I don't want Chad Stahelski. I want someone very fresh. The
creator of WandaVision.
No. Creator of Loki.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like Loki, but I think it'd be a good fit.
So I brought something up to you before you went and saw the movie because Grace brought this up, and it's a great point. Terminator Dark Fate. You hated that movie because of what it does to Terminator. People hate the Matrix because of what it does to the Matrix. Did you feel the same way about the Matrix as you did Terminator?
Terminator is one of those movies that I really blocked. Terminator was also one of those movies, ironically, I walked in really looking forward to.
You have a poster of it right behind you.
I sure do. And the only reason why I still have this poster is because Zachary wants it really badly, and I just won't give it
desperately.
I just won't give it up. That's the only reason why it's on the wall.
I love that poster so much.
But I did not like it. I mean, I didn't like it because of the Terminator aspects. I didn't like it because of almost everything else. Also, Arnold Schwarzenegger was horrible. So I think it also plays a factor. In my opinion, you can love the movie. This is not me bashing on the film whatsoever. It's
Oh,
not me
I know.
bashing on any
That's why I
actors.
asked.
For
Because
instance,
it brings
I
up a
just
good point between the two of them.
I just don't think Keanu Reeves can act. And I'm gonna say I just don't think he can act as he got older. Because he definitely could act when he was younger. Not so much in the Matrix movies, because when I watched those, I was really shocked by his horrible acting. Because I was like, I thought you were good then. But then I watched like My Life in Idaho, what is that called? With Joaquin Phoenix and him.
Yeah.
And he made me cry. Like that's how amazing his
Point
performance
Break.
was.
He's great in Point Break.
Point Break. So there are movies where he's a phenomenal actor, and so that just makes me wonder. I
Do you
don't
think
think the
it's a
script.
choice then of how he's acting in the Matrix movies?
So I think what he was trying to do was in the first 40 minutes of this movie, which is where I think he was the worst. When he went full Neo, which that's not really a spoiler, I think he was the best when he went full Neo. But when he was Thomas
If you look
Anderson,
at my head, when this happens to him, he gets infinitely better in the movie.
Thomas Anderson and all of that, he was
Don't
really
worry.
channeling what his acting was like in the first movie, which I've had to talk to a lot of people about because I really hate it. But he was really channeling that, and I can see it, and I can understand why he chose those choices. But are you 26?
I'm 26. I've
Oh
been
yeah,
26 for half an hour.
well, Zachary, it's a great time to move over to random shit for 10 minutes for your birthday. Happy birthday! Hold on, let's start the timer as we speak. Okay. Oh, by the way, random shit for 10 minutes. It's where we talk about random shit for 10 minutes. I figure I should inform the segment. It was a random shit for 5 minutes last week, if you guys were curious. And Zachary won 10. So we are here with 10. Raymond,
I
what do you
can't
want to
believe
say?
I'm 26, dude.
He's an oldie.
I'm an old.
You're almost
But
30.
since it is my birthday, every year I always go out and do crazy for myself for my birthday when it comes to a present. Every year for the past 2 years, I've always gotten myself something very expensive for my birthday at the end of the year. It's just something I do. Last year I bought the Lego Batmobile for my birthday, and this year I bought my first 1/6 scale collectible figure. This is from Sideshow. This is their Mythos Boba Fett. It kind of worked well out because today was Boba Fett day. And so, yeah, this thing is just really, 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 really cool. It makes me excited to get my next one, which will be the Obi-Wan. But yeah, I was very happy to get him. He did have a poncho on him, but I took the poncho off because Jacob, I'm going to show you this poncho real quick. I just have to show somebody. So this is the poncho he had on. When you smell this, it smells like a straight diesel rag.
I mean, it
And
was a
so
choice.
I was like, I do not want my Boba Fett figure to smell like diesel all day. So I took it off of him. It was glued on, but luckily it came off pretty easily. Even there's a bendy wire in it, so you can make it look nice on the figure. But I'm like, it's covering up its great armor detail. I didn't want to do that. So, yeah, I was very happy. It was between him and Obi-Wan. I was also looking for a Sinister Six pack from Toy Biz for Spider-Man because it came with Spider-Man, Lizard, Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Sandman. Uh, forget who else. It came with one more, and they didn't have it, so it was Boba Fett, and I was very happy with it. Um, let's see. Oh, you're going to be playing Life is Strange: True Colors on your Twitch stream, are you not?
In like a month.
In like a month.
Yeah, because like right now, now I guess I can promote my Twitch. That's fine. I wasn't gonna do that, but I can do
That's
that
what
if
it's
you
here
were.
for.
Sure, sure, sure. Promotion. Right now we're finishing Far Cry 6. I would. Oh my god, that reminds me, Zachary. I could not figure out how to spell the damn word. So I got the unicorn.
Oh, you did?
I take it. You did not get my. I texted that. I
No,
got
no,
it.
no, 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 no. I got it. I'm just adding emphasis to it for here.
Oh.
So you got the unicorn.
And then I also got the ocelot.
The what?
The ocelot.
The what?
It's like a big gigantic cat.
Oh, the ocelot.
Yeah,
Oh, you kept saying
that's what I said.
ocelot.
That's what it is.
No, it's called an ocelot.
I'm correct. You're wrong. It's fine.
But how do you
But
like your
so I'm
unicorn?
playing Far Cry. I'm not really got to play with it. I got it at the very end of stream. That was the last thing I did. So now it's like my number one.
Yeah.
It's my unicorn, my cat. As we kill
Can you
people,
impale people with this horn?
you can.
That's so cool.
It's a great time. And so we're playing that, and then we're gonna jump over to Miles Morales, Spider-Man, and we're gonna play that, and then we're gonna start Guardians of the Galaxy. I said this on stream, and I'll say this again here. If I don't like the controls, I am not going to push myself through a 20-hour campaign. It's
That's
not
fine.
worth it, in my opinion. I'm interested in the story, but I have to be able to enjoy it as well, or I'm not going to want to play it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then after that, depending if we play Guardians Galaxy, but after Guardians Galaxy will be Life is Strange True Colors. Which, ironically, I'm playing two games that have a lot of copyright music in it, so I'm not going to be able to enjoy the said music in both
Oh
games.
man, I forgot about that. Guardians of the Galaxy, you're gonna miss out on so much cool shit.
Yeah, I know. I can't do anything about it. I don't want to be DMCA'd, and I won't play it if I don't play it on stream. So there's like no work.
Well, here's the thanks to Riot, you can now use some of their music when that pops up. You can have music, some kind of music playing.
That's cool. Also, I got Sana the Hellblade.
Oh, you got Hellblade?
Is that what that's called?
Yeah, it's just called Hellblade. It makes it easier. Sansa's origin, Hellblade.
Oh, Sana's Sacrifice. Yeah, I got the sequel, which I think looks so good. Oh my god!
And it's an Xbox only game.
It's an new Xbox only game. It's also going to be on PC. So I'm playing the first one to see how well it plays on my PC. So when the second one comes out, I have Game Pass on my PC. I'll just get it through there.
Hellblade 2, man.
Oh my god, I want to play it.
Lord,
it looks so good. It looks like so good.
But no, I kept thinking about the Matrix Awakens thing that we played on your PlayStation. Like, I had more fun doing that than watching Matrix Resurrections.
I don't necessarily agree, but also, what great promotion without promoting the movie.
I know, but I completely agree with Grace, though. There should have been a Matrix game because of the emphasis on that thing. There should have been one coming out this year if they were going to keep emphasizing it. They have their own game studio.
Not so much that. I just feel like it wasn't really very well utilized executed. Yeah, that's the word we'll use.
So do you think she'll stay around for the fifth one if they do a fifth one?
Warner Brothers, the recent headline that came out, said that they're asking her specifically to come back.
I might skip 5.
I don't know. I will not. Not after the ending. I'll be there. I'll be right there.
Jacob, how many times did The Matrix promise us with a great ending going into another movie? How many times did they do that?
Yeah, but none of them did what they did in this movie, so I'll be there.
Again, so Jacob, how many times have they promised you something in The Matrix and then, they did what they did? How many times?
Like once?
Just being realistic with you.
Like once?
Twice.
I like the second movie, Zachary, so once. The only movie out of this trilogy saga that I don't like is the third one.
Yeah,
and that's not even truly... I don't even know if that's truly true because I've not watched it in like 10 years. So who knows? Maybe I think it's a masterpiece. I don't know. I'm nervous to watch it, so I haven't watched it.
I have now watched Nicole Byer special twice.
Is that what you're watching when you were laughing? Yeah, I thought so.
That Harry Potter KKK joke gets me every fucking time.
I thought about that. I was thinking about it today at work. And I was like, damn it. I just wish I had someone I could tell it to. Because everybody I work with be like, what? And I'm just like, I don't know how to describe it to you. But also, I don't really recommend the special because I don't think you would like it.
Well, I told it to my friend at work today. His name's Darren, and he is of African-American descent. And he loves Harry Potter. So I told him this joke. And dude, he about fell behind his register. It was the funniest thing. Because we promote Harry Potter very much at Jungle Gyms. And I'm like, should we now?
Well, I mean, the question is, should we at all? Because of
with JKKK Rowling.
Fucking hilarious.
So good.
Oh,
that special was
so
funny.
Do you want to know an interesting thing that we can talk about for this last 2 minutes before we jump into the tops of our the whole reason
well,
why we're here this week,
yeah.
but we're gonna wait an hour into the podcast to talk about, casual weekend movie bro things. I saw a headline today. I clicked on it, and they were talking about for the 20th special reunion for Hogwarts. They were taking direct clips because a lot of reviewers have gotten the thing already. It's
Yeah.
just like they did with Friends. And they were talking about things that we have not heard yet in like personal conversation sit downs and just talking about blatantly. Like Hollywood Reporter had a few, and then they were promoting it, but the weird part here is that they're promoting it acting like the movie was already out. Like you could go watch it as we speak, like right now. Like as
Mm-hmm.
and that was really weird. And then Variety, which is a weird, I don't know what they're doing. Variety is just in a weird space right now. But
F variety. That's all I have to say.
they were talking about a whole bunch of movies that don't come out until like Friday for like Netflix, Amazon, and stuff. And they were promoting them as if you could go watch them as we speak right now.
That's stupid.
Yeah, I was really annoyed. And I was annoyed with the thing that I had read about like I would like to have heard that actual conversation in the Harry
Yeah.
Potter thing without it being spoiled for me because I know the information.
So that's a question I wanted to ask you. Are you going to watch it?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. Yeah,
Because you've been going back and forth on whether or not you were going to.
at this very moment in time, I do plan on watching it. We will see if obviously that changes or not. I
Yeah.
I know I'm not gonna go see the new movie.
Neither am I.
I'm also probably not gonna buy the new game that's coming out,
Hogwarts.
which
Oh, Legacy.
which looks
Oh, that sucks.
really great. The timer just went off, but we can finish the conversation before we head over.
Yeah.
And that's just because those both things I know are directly in support, and I just can't do
Of
it.
no,
I
that's
I
I
mean,
understand
for
it
instance,
completely.
the Hogwarts game, if I get it through like some odd end thing or whatever, like it's pre-owned or whatever, in a
Like
later
no, like
date.
like say I get it and then you play it through my account in that kind of
No,
way. You would.
like I guess that might I don't know if I don't know how comfortable I would it because you would have to buy it through like PlayStation or something like that, and that is a direct income. I'm more talking about if I go to GameStop and I buy a pre-owned copy that was sold back to them type of thing. Because
Gotcha.
then it's
Okay,
a
now I
very
got you.
small, tiny little, or I go to Half Price Books and I find it like a a thrifting, like a random thing I find 10 years from now, and I play it
Yeah.
that way. I don't think I'll have too much like a like a big deal about it. Um, but the Hogwarts thing, I mean, it's all through HBO Max, anyways, and I pay for HBO Max, so you could say, why am I paying for HBO Max? It's a lot more stickier of a situation than going to go see that movie specifically, or whatever. The movie looks
And I'm
horrible
not
as it is,
and I'm not
but
and I'm not saying Fantastic Beasts not just because of JK because the movie looks like shit.
it does look really bad, and I'm just really tired of queer baiting, and it just looks like it's going to be another round of queer baiting. And I don't understand why you would get rid of Johnny Depp and bring in Mads
Mads
Mikkelsen
Mikkelsen.
if you're going to queer bait, because when I think of him, I think of gay icon. He's not gay, but all the roles I've seen him play that are gay or that are supposed, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Hannibal, I tell you, Hannibal is a gay person. I will fight you to the brim and bone. I don't know how much I enjoy the fact that he's a gay person because what Hannibal stands for. But either way, also, I'll talk to you about it afterwards because I don't know if it's a spoiler. Is it a spoiler for something that's real?
No,
Like
it's
if
real
it's
life.
based on a real person, is it
No,
a spoiler?
that's not a spoiler. That's real life.
Like
You can say that right here, right now.
like Rasputin from The
Kingsman.
Kingsman. I did not know that he was gay.
Uh huh.
I don't know if you knew that or not. I don't know if the world
Yeah.
knows. I did not know. So, like I said, Zachary, you really I mean, you need to see the sequence. I just cannot even begin to describe to you how both
Well,
happy and uncomfortable.
funny you should mention that. I now switched my movies for tomorrow. I'm not seeing Spider-Man tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I do.
I'm gonna
I
go
don't.
see the Kingsman. I've been wanting to see the Kingsman since it was announced. So
I just once again, I don't know, and I'll say this before we, like I said, before we jump over, it is in one of my lists. Which
which
one? Who
one?
knows? I'm assuming you guys can probably guess based on this conversation, but it doesn't matter. With it, like I said, I'm not entirely sure how much you're going to enjoy it all the way through and
Yeah.
things like that, but it is significantly better than the sequel, so you have that to look forward to.
That's all I care about. If it's
And
better than Golden Circle, that makes me happy.
it's much better than Golden Circle, and it really is like they just kind of like rebooted it, type of thing. So go in thinking it's a completely new film. Don't come in thinking it's like the first Kingsman, or you're going to be extremely disappointed. Just come in, just having no expectations, and just going to enjoy yourself. And I'm sure you will.
How long is it?
2 hours and 10 minutes. I will tell you that this much, because there are certain parts that are relatively slow. Like I said, I wasn't a huge fan of the opening, like the first 30 minutes of the movie. How ironic is that? Just sorry.
Don't you not like the first 30 minutes of Spider-Man 2?
No, I love the first 30. Spider-Man, oh my god, the opening and the ending.
Oh.
Masterpieces. Like literal I'll go see those movies again just for those sequences alone.
Speaking of masterpieces, do you want to do the top 10 films, or do you want to do worst first?
We'll do best, then we'll go to worst. You pick, decide, whatever. I'll close my eyes. You scroll over to it.
I want to do this because I want to see a reaction. There we go.
That's fine. That's fine. That's okay.
So I figure we go 10, 10, 9, 9, 8, 8, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, do you want to go through your honorable mentions first, or do you want to wait until after the list?
You mean my dishonorable mentions?
Yeah, do any of those include your most disappointing?
Yes, they do.
So okay, skip that one. Whatever the dishonorable mention is
my dishonorable mention is my disappointing movie.
Oh, okay. Then I'll go through my quick little list here, because we'll talk about most disappointing after we go through the actual worst list. I'll just go through. So my list, I saw a bunch of movies this year, guys. Like, it's real bad, but next year it's going to be the same, so I can't do anything about it. Movies make me comfort. That's why we have this podcast. It brings me a lot of comfort and joy when I'm in a sad moment in life. So I have 19 movies on this list. 11 through 19, which I'm about to read to you, are what we will call the dishonorable mentions of 2021. These are movies that I didn't love, but I also didn't hate. So they're not great movies, but they're, type of thing. Just want to everybody understand what dishonorable mentions mean. So we have number 11 is The Unholy. The CGI is definitely what made it there. Number 12 is Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. It had some shocking moments, things I will never forget in my life, but it was not very enjoyable to watch.
Mommy! I have seen that, by the way.
Yeah, everybody should. And you should also
look up
Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, Morgan Freeman. Just because. I don't want to spoil it, but damn.
It's a moment.
It's a moment. Then we have number 13 is Voyagers, which is the one about them on the ship and things.
The YA thing with Cyclops.
Yeah, which should have been rated R. That was the moral. I went and saw that because it was PG-13. I was like, why is this PG-13? And I walked out thinking that should have been rated R. So that's, Number 14, ironically, is Chaos Walking.
That's a boring ass film.
It's not great. I liked a lot of the ideas there, but I just don't think the execution was very well. Number 15 is The Marksman, which really annoys me. It really pains me. It really hurts me. I do like what's his face? I can't think of his name. Liam Neeson's random action films he does every year. I do tend to enjoy them. So the fact I didn't like this actually is kind of sad, because I do tend to like
the
them.
train one's still one of my favorites of his.
Commuter. Everybody hates The Commuter. It's a number one
hit.
I loved it. I mean, I wanted to rewatch it. Also, fun fact, did you know Florence Pugh's in it?
In The Commuter?
In The Commuter, she plays his daughter.
Huh.
Yeah, right? Sorry. Just me and you a moment. Number 16 is The Suicide Squad. You knew it was going to be on here. It didn't make the top 10, though. Hey, look at the best.
I'll be happy.
Number 17 is Don't Breathe 2. Number 18 is Separation. which is it's really about loss and stuff, but I didn't really like the execution of it. I like all the actors. It's like a B movie horror film type of thing. That was being way too serious. And number 19 is The Last Duel. I was really tempted to put that in my most disappointing list, but I really do think it deserves it in the worst because there's a lot of things I liked about it, but the majority of it I did not enjoy. I thought it was very boring.
So I have two dishonorable mentions before we get to the 10. I have two.
Yeah, that's fine.
One of them is Gunpowder Milkshake. After sitting on that one really disappointed me. I think another film of that kind of caliber was far less superior. The one that you and I liked a lot better, which was Kate. I think Kate was better than Gunpowder Milkshake.
I should
And
enter
and my second dishonorable mention would be Army of Thieves. That was one of my more I was looking forward to movies this year, and it fell flat hard, hard.
I would also that brings up a great thing because he just mentioned two Netflix movies. My list, because I saw so many movies, and this is normal for me, I went with movies that were only theaters only or had a theater angle. For instance, there's a few of these that I don't think no, there are a few of these that I watched at home, but they did play in theaters, even if it was for a few days, and that includes Netflix movies. For instance, Kate would have been in my best movies of the year. It would have probably I don't maybe like in my honorable mentions and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
because of the fact that it's just it didn't play in theaters. I would have
Yeah,
loved to see that in theaters. Would have been
yeah.
a great moment, but whatever. It's fine. Netflix. Don't make me happy. All right.
So, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
You picked it. You can go first.
So, my number 10, my 10th worst movie of the year is a Marvel Studios film, and that would be Black Widow. That ending to me just over and compensates the rest of the film. Two really great performances aside, I think the action is just okay, with lack thereof. The way they treat the Black Widow character, like the personification of the Black Widow by the end of the film, I think is poorly done. You know, dredging it down to a monogamistic asshole being the villain, I think takes away from all that. After sitting on Taskmaster for almost a year, I can safely say it's my worst villain of the year for the MCU. It didn't flow with me at all. The reveal didn't flow with me, and I don't think we're going to get anything from that character throughout the rest of the MCU.
Oh, we definitely will.
This film is also 10 years too late. This should have come out after Civil War, and I don't know why they decided to put it out in the middle of 2021. But this should have come out really earlier than this. And to me, it also does a disservice to the Black Widow character because this should have been her crescendo leading into Endgame and not the other way around. So my number 10 movie worst of the year is Black Widow.
That's real painful.
Just being honest with you.
That's perfectly fine. I have a few in here that you like, so it's okay. I don't think any of the ones are in here that you liked. The one movie in here that you liked, I don't think it made it in your top 10, so that does suck a little, but like it's fine. My number 10 is Space Jam 2. It was number 10. I just want you to put in perspective here.
Wait a minute.
If Space Jam 2 is number 10.
Space Jam's number 10? You saw something worse than Space Jam?
I saw so many movies worse than Space Jam.
Man, and I got off easy this year then.
The way that I decided this, by the way, because this was a real hard list to put together, because I'm gonna say a lot of these movies I really hated. Okay, I don't know. Maybe Space Jam 2 should be a little bit higher. It's fine. It's final. This is where it is.
Yes.
There's like two movies maybe I'd switch it with, but like whatever. It does not matter. I decided that I don't remember it really at all. So it should go down lower because the other movies, they left a annoying impression in my mind. Not a great impression, but annoying impression. So yeah, that's where it went.
All right, my number 9, my ninth worst movie of the year was Mortal Kombat. I was so looking for. I know you're gonna hate me, man. This movie I was looking forward to, and Yes, there's a great fatality halfway through this movie, but it doesn't take away from
I
the
just,
fact that you put a boring ass main character in front of us for the majority of the film, who doesn't serve a purpose at all, just to bring in Scorpion for a whole 10 seconds at the end of the film. That makes no goddamn sense. You tease a Johnny Cage that we're probably never gonna see. I just
that's accurate. That one is accurate.
um
That's the only thing I agree with so far.
as video game films go, we've got a good one going right now. I'm looking forward to a sequel next year. But as for Mortal Kombat, it did not make me want to come over there anymore. So Mortal Kombat's number 9.
I can't be really mad. It is an honorable mention. I have like 40 honorable mentions, so like it didn't really rank. So like I can't be mad, but like on you. Number 9 for me was Escape Room 2. Escape Room 2, personally for me, was just it wasn't just disappointing, it was aggravating.
It was flat.
I would also say that I've seen both versions now. I
Yes.
do much prefer the version that we watched here on the channel. You can see our
Yes.
reaction to Escape Room 2. Zachary's actual like real life reaction as we watch it. I went and saw it in theaters and
So
he did
ironic
not.
where it goes on one of these lists.
What?
Which is so ironic because my reaction to the commentary, it's so weird where it ended up on one of these lists.
What?
Due to how I reacted to Escape Room 2 when we did the commentary,
Uh-huh.
I find it very ironic where it ended up in one of these lists.
Okay. Sorry. I did not understand what you meant. Either way. I don't know. There was a lot of elements here I was really looking forward to. I was really looking forward to the sequel. I really enjoy the first one. I think the first one's a very solid thriller.
Surprising.
Yeah, and it could be one of Zachary's most surprising, as he did watch it this year for the first time. But it's probably not. But either way, I don't know. I was really disappointed. I was really aggravated and mad. The reason why it's not a most disappointing movie this year is because there's a lot more expectations riding on it. And it was truly one of my most anticipated movies walking into this year. I had been following the production of it. I liked a lot of the castmates that they added. And I just think overall, especially the one I went and saw in theaters directly, the ending is so annoying and pointless and stupid that I just can't. I cannot do it. All right. What's your number 8?
My number 8's Escape Room 2.
Just kidding. Obviously.
I agree with every sentiment that you gave. We watched both endings. You showed me the other ending that you saw in theaters, and let me tell you right now, if we did not watch the commentary we did, we watched the other one. This would easily be in my top 4. But due to it, watching the other one, it still hit my worst list because the traps felt more smaller. There were less traps in this movie. Unlike Escape Room 1, I did not care about the characters at all in this movie. I don't think they gave them enough substance at all. Even the characters that we knew going in from Escape Room 1 and Escape Room 2, they didn't have enough substance. And the forceful cameo they bring into this movie does not work at all for me. It kind of takes away the deviant of the story. I like the world they're setting up for this Escape Room universe, but the execution so far started out really, really strong, but they couldn't stick the landing for their second run.
And it's a duology because that's the reason why we got the extended cut, so we could know all the background information and stuff. So
Because we're not getting a third one.
We're not getting a third one, so our questions would be answered,
Yeah.
which I find to be really interesting. That I do like the fact that they kept their cards.
Kudos to them for
I like the fact that they kept their cards close for the theatrical run for people who were interested, and hopefully would help get a third one so they wouldn't have to use the second one. But also, I like the fact that they released it anyways, even if they weren't super duper happy or proud with it.
Yeah.
Because yeah. Either way, my number 8 is Clifford the Big Red Dog.
Wouldn't it be 7?
No, we're on you. Your 8 was Escape Room 2.
Oh,
my 8 is Clifford the Big Red Dog. This was a movie that I had heard horrible things about, but I went in thinking,
people walked out of it during CinemaCon.
They did, yes. I also heard it was racist. I can contest. I never once thought this movie was racist, so I'm not really sure where that rumor started, or maybe they really did a good job editing, like on the editing room floor before it came out, because I never got that vibe. But that's fine. I'm very happy. But overall, the movie itself was it was a dud. It was a big ass fucking dud. And I'm a huge Clifford fan. I grew up with Clifford. Clifford was my story
We watch
growing
Clifford
up.
pretty much every day.
I love the TV show.
TV show's great.
I forget it exists, but I did love it. But I do really remember the books, and they changed a lot about it. They changed his mythology. They changed where they lived, the whole
I thought the dog
storyline.
was nice. I like Clifford.
So what I think personally, have you didn't watch Clifford, did you?
Yeah,
You did watch Clifford?
yeah.
Okay, so Clifford and Emily at the very end of this movie,
Hmm.
when she's writing him,
Yeah.
yeah, no,
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 didn't do it for you.
it if it was not there yet, it was boom. All
Yeah.
right, what is your number 7, Zachary?
My number 7 is Don't Breathe 2.
Oh, okay.
Good God, does this movie make decisions?
It go places.
And good God, you did not warn me and my dad about and our dad about this, because they make a decision involving a little girl that I'm like, okay, okay.
I mean, that's the
And
reason why I showed it
also,
to
it
Dad.
has one of the worst protagonists in any movie ever. Now, I have to say this: I'm completely unbiased in this situation. I've never seen Don't Breathe, so I'm just strictly going off Don't Breathe 2. And from what I can gather, if I don't like Don't Breathe 2, I would probably end up liking Don't Breathe. But if I'm just going off a single film, directing, acting, whatever, this movie's a piece of shit through and through. It has its moments, but it's a piece of shit. It's
I
bad.
think I think the directing was good. Everything else was bad.
I like the way they used his, the way the like
You
Daredevil
didn't get to
effect. Like,
see the opening, did you?
no,
Oh, okay. So that's okay. The one thing I wanted him to see the movie for, he didn't get to see. That's okay.
but no, my number 7 is Don't Breathe 2. It didn't make me breathe. I was just ready to get out of there. I have a pun for all these.
That's great. We like that. Number 7 for me is Halloween Kills.
Okay, I understand.
What did I like about this movie?
That's a small list.
It is a small list. I thought the acting was extremely cheesy, which is really disappointing. I did get what I wanted. In its defense, I asked for one thing, and it did deliver, and that was violence.
And
And
boy, oh boy, was there violence in this movie.
but I have to say, the only great scene of this whole movie is also the most disturbing scene of this whole movie, and that is towards the end. I'm not going to spoil it for people who've not seen the movie. It's not fair.
Staircase.
It's a staircase. That's a great way to put it. It's a staircase. It's amazing.
It's so good.
It's beautiful. That is when I think it's
It's
at its
that scene to me is the best shot scene in a horror film this year. The way they do it is just
I don't
to me.
necessarily know if I agree with that, but that's okay. Um, I didn't like the story. I thought it was kind of pointless, and I really hated the end of this movie. I thought it was really confusing and really stupid, and I'm excited for the sequel, for instance. But I also know something about the sequel, which I did not know before, that I think it's public knowledge. I don't want to say it here in case it's not public
I know what you're
knowledge.
talking about. Yeah,
And I think that just makes this movie even more aggravating, in my opinion.
I agree. I can see that.
So,
Yeah,
um, yeah. I also wanted to let you guys know I walked into this with low expectations because I did not like Halloween, the 2018 version, because it didn't cross enough lines for me. For some reason, Michael Myers really needs to cross all the lines and boundaries, and then I'm good. And this movie definitely was more under like that array, but I think it lost a lot of things that I did like about the first one. So I think they just need to find the perfect balance between crossing those lines, but
hmm
also keeping the story like good and enjoyable and interesting. I also have never really enjoyed making him a demonic creature
hmm
before. It's never been a great storyline for me personally. I understand why they do it. I understand from like a story standpoint having to explain how can he continue to get back up after all these things and stuff.
yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. But I think even in this movie specifically, it's really confusing and they do a shitty job at explaining it.
Explaining it.
So I don't think it even works in their favor. And yeah, that's my opinion about Halloween Kills.
My number 6 is The Little Things. This is the most of all films I've seen this year. This is without a doubt the most pretentious piece of shit I have seen. It has three, in my opinion, arguably some of the worst performances of the year. I know Jared Leto's getting some slack for another movie he did this year, but I didn't see that one. I'm just going off the one I saw, and he is just downright. I don't get it. When I think Jared Leto, I think Dallas Buyers Club. I think I know this man can act. What happened? Denzel Washington is phoning this movie in the entire time, and I Rami Malek to me is too stoic in this movie. He doesn't give enough emotion. I think he's better in No Time to Die than he is in here, personally. I thought the directing was awful. I thought some of the Steadicam shots in this movie were boring. It didn't work as a movie, and as HBO's second outing for their HBO Max stream to date, man, what a decision! What a decision! So the little things, there's little to like.
Also, with the little thing, speaking of that outing, it was actually the film that caused the most problems with this HBO Max because of Denzel
Need I
Washington.
say more?
Interestingly enough. So my number 6, ironically, also played on HBO Max. Da da da! What could this be? You're correct. It does star Rebecca Ferguson and Hugh Jackman, and that would be Reminiscence. Is that how you say that? I think so. Oh. This is a movie that had, once again, great potential.
Potential.
But also, I started to think about it, and there is no logic to this world. And they try to ground it in such like deep reality that like when you start to pick it apart, it like really falls. And also, I really hated Rebecca Ferguson's storyline here. It made me really sad. And this is also another movie that I think could have benefited from the R rating. Its
Mhm.
PG-13 rating, personally, for me, I think did bring down the film. As when I think film noir, I think very dark, very spooky, a few curse words, a sex scene or two, type of thing. Like, like that, almost like an erotic thriller, but not, a lot more
Yeah.
classier than that type of thing. And this had all those elements of like it wanted to be that, but it couldn't go there, so it never reached that potential.
Hmm.
And also, a lot of the performances were bad. I talked to Zachary, and I was like, I was so shocked while watching this movie because, like, I know all these people can act, and if this is your first time seeing any of these actors act, you just feel bad for them because they're like, this is horrible. It was just really bad acting across the board, which really sucks. And this is a movie I was actually looking forward to. I thought the trailers were quite good, and I just think it was really bad. The mystery was also not great either. And there's a gay character in it that was truly offensive, and I will forever remember it, and it will forever, I will be annoyed.
All right, now we're getting into the top five. This is the turds of the turds, man. This is where film was like, you know what? Forget what you saw. Like this rip off of Aladdin called Wish Dragon on Netflix. Oh boy.
I actually kind of enjoyed
Listen,
Wish
if
Dragon.
you thought, people having and making fun of, Asian culture and, really putting an emphasis on that kind of stuff, don't watch Wish Dragon because it's just an Asian representation film of Aladdin. And in my opinion, it's the poor man's version of it because the dragon in this movie is fucking annoying. The kids in this film make really stupid decisions that you just don't go with. Sure, there's great family fun all around, but it doesn't take away from the fact that you're bored, it doesn't make sense, and you don't like the main protagonist. So, no, this is one of the worst animated films of the year, and that would be Wish Dragon.
My number 5 is a horror film, the final horror film on this list, and that would be Chris Rock's Spiral. So when I saw this in theaters, I was like, that's bad. Then I had my dad watch it because I was like, it's bad, Dad. And he was like, it can't be that bad. And then we watched it and we were both like, damn, that was bad. The issue with Spiral, though, once again, a lot of these movies had such great potential and just ruined it so horribly. The ending of this movie, I want a sequel. Like, really bad. I would watch the shit out of a sequel. The kills here were not graphic. I was really annoyed with the fact that there was a lot of cutting that they did, a lot of editing. Also, I don't understand who decided on the editing room for, or the director maybe, who has done many of these movies before. You never show the victim after the trap and then show the trap. It takes out all of the intenseness of the trap. I mean, yes, of course, normally they do die. So, like, yeah. But also, huh?
Nothing.
But also, it takes away the fun of it, because they showed the aftermath, like how the trap works. And then you go experience the trap like 10 minutes later, and you're just like really stupid. And then with the actual like twist reveal type of thing at the end of this movie, it was another one of those very annoying things because if you're a fan of Saw whatsoever, they broke a wall in Saw mythology that obviously gave away who the killer was, like right then and there. So Spiral was also Chris Rock cannot act. That was a very big takeaway.
So my number 4 is, I couldn't remember the title. It's the one with Kevin Bacon and Amanda Seyfried that we
Oh,
watched.
the house.
On the House on the Left.
No, nope.
No.
I'll get it for you. I got you.
Anyways, this movie, we were watching, me, my mom, and my brother watched this together. I almost fell asleep twice. This movie is fucking boring. Kevin Bacon gives one of the most stilted performances of the year. Amanda Seyfried is just a bitch the entire time. There's no character developments for her.
It's You Should Have Left, and it came out in 2020.
Oh, well, I saw it in 2021.
Yeah, I mean, I was just giving people reference in case they didn't remember the movie. Yeah, that's all.
It came out in 2020, but it's on my 2021 list because for 2 years it's that bad. The only redeeming quality was that kid. The kid I actually liked, but the whole mystery of it all got so blended in together and repetitive, and that was the longest runtime for a film ever for how short that movie is.
Yeah, it's like an hour and 20 minutes.
It's just, oh boy. I know, Jacob, you love Amanda Seyfried, but you can even say that movie just doesn't work.
No, I really liked actually that movie.
Oh, well, we're different here, and that's fine.
In my personal opinion, I just think it flew over Zachary's head. So that's all.
That's fine.
And that's also fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I didn't mean that in like a mean way. I just meant that in like a general way. Because like when I talked to mom about that movie, she's like, I think I understand what they were trying to do, but also, could you explain it to me? And I was like, sure, I can do that. So I get it. I definitely get it. It's not for everybody. And I didn't like the whole thing. I liked a lot of the elements though in it. Number 4 for me is The Green Knight. Now, to be honest with you, I think Zachary would have probably expected this a little bit higher on this list, but I saw some truly horrible movies this year that deserved it better. And The Green Knight was a fine movie. It was boring as fuck, though. I will say everything. What's his face? What is his name?
Dev Patel.
Thank you. Phenomenal. If I cook anything out of this movie, it's that like
so
good.
He is so good.
I went into this thinking, oh, this could be really cool. I liked a lot of the visuals from the trailer, and I really thought maybe it could be a fun time. I took Zachary to see this. This was very much a more like, I'm going to take you to go see this type of movie, and I'm just going to go along, for the ride because it's going to be a fun time. And I was so bored. I was so bored. And by the time cool things started to happen, which are so late in the movie, that like I couldn't even enjoy it because I was already just so bored. And then also, I'm just gonna say it. Yeah, The Rag. Never gonna forget that one. It was such an interesting story too, because we walked out and I was like, Zachary, could you believe they did The Rag? And he looked at me, he's like, what are you talking about? And then I was like, and then I explained it to him. I don't want to give it away in case you want to watch The Green Knight. It's truly something to behold. But yeah, that was number 4 for me. I just found it to be extremely boring and pretentious.
That's fair.
I think the performance in it, though, are very good. And I do like the idea, and I think if it was a lot more fantastical and not so much let me wander around a forest and do nothing for 3 hours, I think it would have been better. But they decided
for the Northman.
Yeah, like the Northman. Like, oh my god. Like, and if we go see that and that shit's boring, I'm gonna be so sad. I'm gonna be like, what the fuck?
Well, A24 can go one way or the other. It
Yeah,
just
I mean,
depends on the day.
also the director can go one way or the other. I've seen movies of his that are fucking like, oh my god, that's a masterpiece. I've also seen movies where I'm like, what were you doing? So
I'm on that side of the masterpiece. I love The Green Knight. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. So now we're getting into my top three. I call these guys the shit boxes. These are the ones that I'm just like, I'm never gonna watch you again. We're done. You're out of my life. I'm never gonna see you ever again. Number three, Chris Pratt, man. What the fuck were you thinking? The Tomorrow War. Good God Almighty. They were promoting this on packaging, on everything. It was like the Tomorrow War, the big film of the summer. More like the snore fest of summer 2021. Nothing happens in this film. The future stuff is absolute bullshit. Chris Pratt sucks in this movie. It's it is one of the worst sci-fi films I've seen in the past decade. I'm not afraid to say that. It doesn't know what it wants to be. No one, you can tell no one gives two shits that they're in this movie, and it shows wholeheartedly. I hate this movie with a passion, and it just whew, it's too long. It's like Independence Day Resurgence all over again. Don't put me through it anymore. Tomorrow War.
so my number three, I don't know. I think these top four, depending on the day, they all could be number one. I hated the Green Knight, and I definitely hate all three of these films we're going to talk about. Number three is Tom and Jerry. Tom and Jerry was another one of those movies that I had to go experience.
I got lucky. I didn't get to see this one.
That's great. Good for you. You can if you want to. It's on HBO
Not.
Max. Good for
I'm
you.
fine.
Yeah, I totally recommend it. It's a blessing in horrible disguise. It was trash. I don't understand why they would just the character design was horrible. Also, they do some pretty adult things in this movie that truly I was not okay with. I was very uncomfortable. And also making it in like a 3D kind of way that they did for Tom and Jerry, the violence there is a lot of in this movie is a lot more shocking and visceral in a PG format, obviously. But I was like, I don't really know if I want people to be watching this because I think it's, in my opinion, really wrong. And also the performances are really bad. I think Chloe Grace Moretz did the best that she could with what she delivered. Like her reactions to things that were not there, I thought was really
Pretty
good.
good job.
Yeah. So like if you're gonna watch Tom and Jerry and you're not watching it for like a 4-year-old, then that would be the reason why I would say, give it a shot because I think she did as good a job as one could. Other than that, this is a movie to skip. Skip, 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 just skip. All right, Zachary, what is your number two?
Speaking of skipping, much like most of this movie, I skipped through a lot of it in my head because I was bored. And that would be Matrix Resurrections. It's my number two worst movie of the year. It is also, without a doubt, my most disappointing film of 2021. The potentiality in this movie is thriving. It's there. It wants to be there, but it never fucking hits it. I gave all of my opinions on this movie in our non spoiler, so I don't have to give anything else. Number two is Matrix Resurrections. You can probably guess what my number one is, but Jacob, what's your number two?
Actually, I don't know what your number one is.
Think about it.
Oh, never mind. He's gonna have a much better answer for that movie as well, which is nice.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
I
he,
will.
I think he should because I really don't remember it.
Oh, I will.
All right, my number these top two. It was a real tussle. It was they fought back and forth. They were like, "I want to be it. No, I want to be it." And I was just like,
And that's not a good thing.
"No, it's not." Number two for me personally is going to be Dear Evan Hansen.
And you want to do a fucking commentary to this
I
shit?
do. I definitely do want to do a commentary to this shit. That's for truth. Um, I just I've never seen a movie want to be an advocate for mental health and do it so horribly wrong.
Okay,
Also,
before we continue this story, can you please tell our audience the story of you realizing what Dear Heaven Hansen actually is? because this is
Sure.
one of the greatest stories of 2021.
All right. So, Dear Evan Hansen is something that I have loved and adored since the play first came out in like 2016 or something like that. But I don't live in New York and we're poor as fuck. So we can't go to Broadway every weekend and go see big Broadway shows such as Dear Evan Hansen. So I just got to treat of the music. And I have to say, if you just listen to the music and you don't really have any idea what the show's about, and yes, I could have Googled it, but it's more fun this way. And you have no idea.
My brother Googles everything. He didn't Google anything about this.
And I had an idea that it had to do with suicide, which the movie does. I also had an idea that had to do somewhat with mental health, which it does. But I also had several other ideas that were much better than the actual plot of this movie. One of them is dating a ghost, which is beautiful and it works really well if you listen to the. Think of gay guys and ghosts, and it works really well. Or the person that dies actually didn't die and they're actually their lover. It also works. It doesn't seem like it, but it does. And there's a few others. Okay, so I have all these ideas, and I truly thought this movie was gay. Then you had Ben Platt in the helm, and I was like, it has to be gay. Like this
And
is.
then Jacob saw.
Then I saw the trailer, and I was like, wait, hold on. This is about a guy who feels horrible, falls down a tree, which is bad, and I mean it's really sad and things. And then blackmails essentially a family that actually lost a child to suicide to fuck his sister. That's what this movie is about. And I don't want to say that's a spoiler because it's not a spoiler. As you watch the trailer or listen to any of the songs, it makes so much more sense now. To be fair. But it's so sad and disappointing. And this movie, because of Ben Platt, who I adore and I love, and I will forever love, this movie did not affect me in that regard whatsoever. It's not his fault. He should not have been cast. Someone should have told him this was a horrible idea. Then someone should have screened the movie and been like, "Are you sure you still want to do this?" And then, "Are you still sure we could still put it on the back burner?" And then they should have. The mental health representation here, like I said, is just truly appalling. And then also Evan Hansen himself, because of certain songs that they cut out of the movie, which is sad because they're great songs, make him feel more like a villain and a predator. And then with him looking like he's 40, also makes him even more feel like he's a predator. And then with Caitlin Denver, who looks like she's 14 still, because Caitlin Denver doesn't age, which is fine. Good for you. It makes it even more concerning. Yeah. Which makes Dear Evan Hansen a movie that will go down in infamy as one of my most anticipated films of like all time. So poof, I can't love you. But that does not mean I still don't listen to the songs. So I don't associate those songs with the story. And Caitlin Denver's voice is just so magical that I can't.
Listen to You Will Be Found at least once a week.
It's just it's great. The songs are great, and that's how I would recommend this movie. It's not worth the experience. Also, the directing here is very stale, which is very shocking because I really like Steven Chbosky a lot. And I think the adaptation here is very stale as well. From what I understand from a lot of people who like the musical, they highlight everything they hate about the musical. So that's not something you want to do when making a movie in general. All right, Zachary, what is your number one?
So, my number one worst movie of 2021 is without a doubt Warner Brothers Pictures Space Jam: A New Legacy. Jacob, there is a reason why you forgot this horrendous piece of turds, and I'm going to explain to you why you forgot this horrendous piece of turds. So, I brought this up during the Matrix non-spoiler review, and I will stick to it to this day. Warner Brothers hates itself. It doesn't know how to express it, but it does. It hates itself. And so it was like, you know what? I want to make myself feel better. So I'm just going to put all of my characters in one movie and see how it goes. Let me tell you, Warner Brothers, it went shit. So, if this movie was just about the Looney Tunes getting back together, doing one more basketball game with LeBron James, cool. But you take the most simple concept of putting a Bugs Bunny in an outfit to fight monsters in a basketball game to one of the most grand opera supreme things at the end of this movie, where you have guys literally dancing around like this as the Clockwork Orange, or you see a random guy going as Mr. Freeze for no goddamn reason at all. It hurts me so much to make me cough. And then, of course, you're wasting freaking Rhodes from Iron Man and Civil War And as Al G. Rhythm, the man who hates LeBron James and wants to bring him down for everything that he is.
Oh my God, you're correct. That's true. I can't remember its little thing. I liked its little thing. I don't know what that's called, but send him
But
to
then,
Ludo.
but then you'll have these highs of like, there's a random Rick and Morty showing in this movie that I just thought was awesome to see. But then you do the Batman Superman things and like we get it, you own Warner Brothers, woohoo, make it through here. Wonder Woman went on for way too fucking long. And it just keeps going, going, going. And LeBron James can't act for shit. But neither can Michael Jordan. But I still believed his family dynamic. I don't believe it at all in this movie. It just it is the most, and the Michael Jordan joke in this movie just solidified how bad this movie is. All right, guys, here it comes. It's Michael B. Jordan. Yeah, I was told the concessions were back here. You got the wrong Michael Jordan. Yeah, because that fucker realized how bad this movie was going to be. This is Warner Brothers check going. Slot it out. Put all of our Warner Brothers stuff out there. See what clicks and what doesn't click. And that's what they did. Warner Brothers within 4 months of each other made fun of itself, made itself look bad, and I'm like, why? Did the HBO Max thing really not work for you that much that you just want to put yourself down that hard? Huh. Space Jam's a piece of turds. Like a turd in the wind.
Okay. My number one worst movie of the year. Do you want to take a guess of what it is, Zachary?
I don't know.
I'll tell you.
Okay.
Peter Rabbit 2. Like I said, it was a fight. These top three movies was a fight. But Peter Rabbit 2 was by far the worst thing I've seen this year. I just can't get it. It's one of those movies that I swore after I saw it, I was going to forget it. I was going to go home, flush it out of my brain, and never think about it again. It will not leave. It will not leave. No matter how badly. Because, like, if we're going to be honest, the worst movie I saw this year was a rewatch of Batman and Robin. That was the worst movie. I'm surprised Cats wasn't Zachary's worst movie of the year. Joker Cat. Joker Cat.
That's 2 years old. That's 2 years old. That's
true. And like, I mean, Batman and Robin couldn't be my worst movie. I've already seen it. So like, you know what I mean? But that is technically the worst movie I've seen in my
worst movie experience is Cats.
That's a good way to put that. But my worst movie was I took my little sister to go see this. She really wanted to see it. And I was like, okay, fine. We'll go see it. I had never seen Peter Rabbit. I think that's very important to know. And Zachary, I'm going to be honest with you. When you said Matrix 4 is meta, I was like, that's fine. I tackled Peter Rabbit too. You can't get more meta than that shit. And you still can't. Matrix 4 holds nothing. Space Jam 2 is not even as meta as Peter Rabbit 2 is. That's how meta Peter Rabbit 2 is. It's annoying. It's stupid. The main characters are unlikable. Rose Byrne is wasted. How do you waste a gem? And they do. It should never have been made. And that's where I sit.
That's how I feel about my number one.
Now, before we jump over to top 10 best films, which I'm very excited to talk about, I do have some most disappointing. And they go down here because these are good movies. Like, if you're wanting to watch them, I would recommend them. But just know that they disappointed me. And also, no movie pops up on either of my lists twice. This is very important to note, Zachary, as there's a movie in here. My most disappointing movie of the year is what? You should know. Take a guess. It's not the... Okay, I'll tell you. F9. This is the first year since the Fast and Furious movie has came out. that it did not make my top 10 movies of the year. This made my most disappointing movie. I have now seen F9 a lot of times, so I can say that. I've seen it. I saw it like 5 times in theaters. I've seen it like 7 times at home. And every time I watch it, I just think to myself, "Why am I watching this?" Because I don't really like it. I like to fast forward to my favorite parts, and there are moments in the movie that I really enjoy. But overall, this was very disappointing, and I'm gonna blame the trailers. I'm blaming the trailers hardcore for this movie. It set my expectations up too high, and the flashback stuff got spoiled for me right at the last minute, which would have
Showing
been
off Han.
Han. Yeah, was disappointing. The third act, disappointing. I don't know, very disappointing. The next movies
Star
are.
Wars references.
I think I was okay with that. I can't remember. Was I not okay with that? I might
No.
not have been. No, okay. There you go. The other 5 that are on this list, we have The Conjuring 3. It's not about a ghost. How do you do a movie about The Conjuring and decide, you know what? Let's not talk about ghosts. Let's talk about witches. Yeah, I don't get it either. That's fine. Then we have House of Gucci.
Yeah, I figured.
It's sad. Both Ridley Scott movies ended up on this list. One of them starred Lady Gaga, guys. Lady fucking Gaga. Then Cherry, another Tom Holland movie. That's sad. Cherry was one of those movies I was looking forward to so much. Such a disappointment in every way, shape, or form. Wrath of Man was not looking forward to it initially. After the reviews came out, was really looking forward to it and have been since extremely disappointed by it. And Those Who Wish Me Dead, which is Angelina Jolie's star turn to come back. If I wouldn't have read the book, I think I would adore this movie. I think it would have probably been my top 10 movies of the year or in my honorable mentions and stuff. I did read the book. The book was 10 times better. And the things I really liked about the book, they cut out from the movie. And so it ended up being extremely disappointing and lackluster, in my opinion. I have since rewatched it, and I do like it better on rewatches, but that initial reaction was very, it was a solid disappointment. Not as bad as F9. Oof. And that means it's nowhere in my top 10 best movies. That's just so sad. You disappoint me so much.
Alrighty. So
Okay.
now we're going to move on to the top 10. I want to get through my honorable mentions quickly because we're cracking over 2 hours, and I know we're both kind of tired. So
I'm
we're going to
tired.
try to. I am. So
I'm
we're
sorry.
Gonna,
I'll just talk very quickly through them.
I'm going to talk quickly. We'll do my honorable mentions first. I have a lot. My honorable mentions go Nobody, The Protege, Mitchell's vs. the Machines, Venom 2, F9, Jungle Cruise, Dune, Green Knight, Raya, Candyman, Godzilla vs. Kong, and the most shocking one, the surprising movie of 2021 for me, is Paw Patrol.
Oh.
Really like
Microphone.
Paw Patrol.
Thank you. Not fair. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. My honorable mentions. There's a whole bunch. So I'm just going to run through it very fast. Resident Evil, the reboot. Don't Look Up, Dune, Last Night in Soho, Candyman, Jungle Cruise, Cruella, Army of the Dead, Raya and the Last Dragon, Snake Eyes, The Matrix 4. What?
How's Cruella on your list? We didn't watch it.
I saw that in theaters, I agree.
Oh, right, yeah.
West Side Story, Our Friend, The Father, Godzilla vs. Kong, Mortal Kombat, Zola, Till Death, No Time to Die, Ron's Gone Wrong, Antlers, Eternals, Red Notice. Those are my honorable mentions of the year. Highly recommend all those movies. They just didn't make my top 10. And my most surprising movie of the year is by far Ghostbusters Afterlife. That is by far.
You loved.
And one of those movies I still think about. Some of those jokes. Oh my God. And also, the ending. Could have never seen it coming. If I would have caught up, maybe I could have, but I did not, and it was worth the experience. That's for sure. All right, let's jump into the top 10.
You start off with this one.
All right, my number 10 movie of the year is The Kingsman. I had just seen it. Like I said, that could possibly change depending on rewatchability. But this first initial reaction, there are just some beautiful things. The war things in this movie and the action sequences, and also Rasputin. I can't stop that. That scene, the beginning of that scene will forever be ingrained in my mind. I will never leave me. It will never leave me.
Number 10 for me is Ghostbusters Afterlife, a movie I was looking forward to all year, and it exceeded all my expectations. Like Jacob said, the ending of this movie, perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
Number 9, Black Widow. I'm quite shocked that out of all of the Marvel movies, this one's so far down on my list. I love Yelena. I love Natasha, and I personally think Black Widow is not the best on initial watch. For me, it was phenomenal. It was a masterpiece. I love the character so much. Part of the reason why, but I think this movie does a lot with rewatchability. The more you watch it, the more things you learn and you understand, and the more cool little nods and the little things I think is what make this movie just so much of a masterpiece to me. It's still amazing. All these movies got fives. I they're all great, but this is just the order they fell in.
My number 9 is it's my first Warner Brothers movie on the list, and that would be In the Heights. This is my favorite musical of the year. I absolutely adored this picture. I
So
listened to this
sad.
album.
So low. Okay,
I
continue.
I absolutely adored all the music, but there were just certain story elements that didn't work for me. But it's still a great movie, and it still made my top 10.
It's true. My number 8 is the first Warner Brothers movie on this list. I have a few. I think I have three. So, I think it evened itself out.
I have 3. No, I have 4.
Number 8 is Judas and the Black Messiah. I I don't know how to describe to you this movie. I think you should just go watch it. It's about a very important event in life that does not get talked about very often. They more talk about the other stuff that's happening during this period of time. And it was absolutely beautiful, and it made me Lateef Sanfield, I think is what his name is.
Yeah.
Like I'll watch anything he is in.
Number 8 for me is the first Marvel movie on my list, and that would be Eternals. This is very thought provoking. It made me, constantly think throughout the film. This is the most original Marvel movie of any MCU film. All the performances in this movie stood out to me, but specifically Angelina Jolie and Gemma Chan to me stood out the most. I thought they were great, and it leaves us open for a lot of good cosmic wonders going into the MCU. So Eternals for me is number 8.
My number 7 is Malignant. This is how you know my list is tricky, because Malignant is this far down. Malignant is an onion. Is the best way I know how to describe it. The more you peel, the better it becomes. First time I watched it, I was shooketh. Shooketh, I tell you. Shooketh. And then I forced my brother to watch it on camera, and
That's
he became shooketh with me.
when that moment happens, man.
Then I forced my dad to watch it, and he became shooketh with me again.
Do you like it?
He did, yeah. I'm pretty sure we watched it. If not, we will be watching it the next time I see him. That will be a thing. It will happen. Either way, it's not a movie I want to tell you anything about, because it's not one of those movies. But just know you're going in for a ride, and just don't second guess it. Just go along with everything. Also, the precinct scene in the end of the movie is by far one of my favorite sequences of any movie I watched this year. That's all I'll say about it. It's shockingly amazing. It's everything. It's everything I ever wanted. So that I didn't know I wanted. I should be more clear here. I did not know that I wanted, and then I got.
My number 7 is No Time to Die. I absolutely adored this film. Doesn't it helps the fact that we watched all of them leading up to going seeing this movie, but Daniel Craig is my Bond. He will always be my 007. I'm sad to see him go, but as a conclusion to his saga as James Bond, it is so good. The opening song, the villain, all of this works. The relationship in this movie, the way they use Blofeld from Spectre, it made me appreciate all the other movies more and more with each viewing. I get to watch it now, and it's a fun ass time. So No Time to Die is number 7.
Number 6 is my only animated kids film on this list, and that is Sing 2. which just hit theaters. I saw it back after Thanksgiving, and I do plan on hopefully we go to go see it again in January. I want to take my little sister to go see it again. It's phenomenal. It has it has actually the best musical moments I have seen in any movie this year. That the final act, I just want to see it again. I need it. It's beautiful. It's literally everything. The cameos. If you don't know, you don't know, and you shouldn't know, and it's just jaw-droppingly shocking. And it's great. The story's phenomenal. It's the perfect sequel. One of the perfect sequels. I actually have a few on this list. It's one of the perfect sequels.
Number 6 for me. It's higher on my list than it is on yours, and that's *Malignant*. Once again, this movie's an onion. That's all I'm going to say. Jacob?
You just got to keep peeling it. And when you
Yep.
do, it opens like a flower. Also, we do have a movie commentary to that. So if you want to experience that with us, it's chaotic, but you can. It's
A lot
chaotic.
happens in that commentary.
My number. Oh, we're to the top 5. Oh my gosh, we're here. We're here. Also, I'd like to say as we get closer to the top, if you want to start to elaborate on reasons why they do, you can. We're going through this kind of quickly, so you got time. You're okay. My number 5 is Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings. This I thought was going to be my favorite Marvel movie of the year. Spoiler, it was not. But it came really close. It did more than Eternals did for me personally. It did more than Black Widow. It still does have my favorite action sequences of any Marvel movie that I've seen in a very long time. Well, except for that beast, that beauty back there. That one, Endgame. Yeah, that's the one. But it comes really close. It's phenomenal. It's fabulous. The representation is amazing. The comedy works on so many different levels, and the glass scene fighting outside the building, it truly is like one of my favorite things.
Number 5, Free Guy. One of the genuine experiences that I've had all year. If this is the movie that Ryan Reynolds is taking his sabbatical on afterwards, good for him. This is the funniest movie of the year, in my opinion. This is the most heartfelt movie of the year, in my opinion, and it has two of the greatest performances of the year, and Ryan Reynolds and please tell me her name.
Jodie Comer.
Thank you, Jodie Comer. They are just breathtaking in this. Free Guy is the better Matrix movie of the year. That's all I'll say.
It's so funny because when I told you that earlier on this year, I was like, "Oh yeah, Zachary, you're gonna like Free Guy more." You looked at me, you're like, "I don't understand what that means, but I know it's wrong."
Now I'm like, I get it.
Now you get it. All right, my number 4 is A Quiet Place Part 2. A movie that I truly forget came out this year because 2021 feels like it was 6 minutes and 40 years, and it came out in March. So that was like, that was a hot minute ago, or May. I think it got moved to May. I think is what it was. Either way, it doesn't matter. It's phenomenal. It is one of the best sequels. It holds the momentum. It follows through, and it's more intense and more shocking than the original. And the opening, the directing, the acting, it's beautiful. I will get Zachary to watch it one day. It will happen.
Will. All right. My number 4 is The Suicide Squad. This movie is everything I wanted it to be and more. It's irrelevant. It makes you uncomfortable, but it makes you laugh at it all at the same time. I will go down and say my favorite DC moment of the year is from this movie, and it's the camp scene. I watch that scene every time, and it makes me laugh every time. That lead up to the final moment when they get to the camper and they see him there getting all shaved up and nice, and they're all like, "Wait, where are the rest of my guys?" Sorry, it's so good. It's so good. King Shark, man, character of the year, King Shark. I love that man so much. So much in eyes, man. So much in eyes.
Worst character of the year.
And I'm so excited for Peacemaker because of that movie. So that's my number 4.
All right, we are in the top 3. These are the big ones. These are the ones that Why weren't you number one? That's the question you ask when you see these top three. Number three for me personally is Spider-Man No Way Home. I know. I'm sorry. Okay, I feel like I disappointed someone out there, but that's fine. I loved Spider-Man No Way Home. I mean, I'm seeing it again for a fourth time. I think that just, I think that proves. I saw it Friday, Saturday, and I saw it again. I love it. I love everything it does. It was so satisfying. It still makes me cry. I think it's a beautiful wrap up to my favorite Spider-Man trilogy of them all. And I think it's a beautiful wrap up for a lot of other things. I'm not going to spoil it here,
It
but
makes you appreciate. It makes you appreciate other things a lot more.
yeah. And I think I liked a lot of the villains as well. My only issue with this movie, if I was going to take one away from it, is that when you start pulling at its threads, it does start to unravel. But that seems to be a common thread with Marvel movies. So, we just don't do that. And then also, Jimmy Fox was truly should not have been there at all. And it was, that's my own opinion. And that's the only thing I would say I would change is just Jamie Foxx.
My number 3 is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. This movie is it's everything on every level. This made me do what Endgame did with Thor: The Dark World. It made me appreciate and adore Iron Man 3. It it has the best villain in any Marvel movie this year. Yes, including Green Goblin. Tony Leung's the Mandarin is just so impactful. You feel for him the entire film. The way he meets Shang-Chi's mother is one of the most beautiful scenes in any MCU film, and I'm never going to forget seeing it for the first time. The bus and the side of the building fight scenes are two of the best choreographically crafted fight scenes I've seen in any Marvel movie ever. Yes, is there a lot of CGI at the end? Yes. Does it get kind of over the top by the end of the film? Absolutely. But it all pays off for itself at the end. And Michelle Yeoh is a beast. That's all I'm going to say.
My number two. I think by this point, Zachary knows what my number one and number two are judging between.
Yeah.
So it just depends on who took the top spot.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact, Zachary. My number two is In the Heights. In the Heights was another movie that I watched. I went and saw it in theaters. And I watched it every single day for 30 days. That was the best time I spent on HBO Max was In the Heights when it first came out. It has the best songs. I listened to it and watch it once a week. It truly is one of those movies that will go down as like one of my favorite musicals of all time. And ironically, my least favorite part of that is when Miranda, I think his song is pointless, and I tend to skip it every single time. But everybody else, I think, is so great in the movie, and it jazzes so well, and I just absolutely adored it. And I cry. It still makes me cry. I still cry. And that, my friend, is a testament, because I think I've seen this movie like 1,000 times this year. So.
My number 2 is Spider-Man No Way Home. I can't talk about this film without getting into spoilers at this point, so I'm not going to say anything except this. Go fucking watch it if you have not watched it. I think everybody this year deserves to see this movie. It is a moment in my life that I'm never going to forget. I am 26 now, but I remember seeing the first Spider-Man with my mom. Gets me emotional just thinking about it. So I've been with this character for the past 20 years. So to see this movie and where it goes, it makes me cry every time for multiple reasons. But no, this is my favorite Marvel movie of the year. I love Spider-Man No Way Home to death. I cannot wait to watch it at home. I can't wait. I cannot wait. So Jacob, number 1, I'm guessing, is what I think it is.
My number one movie of the year. I walked out of seeing this movie for the first time, and I looked at my mom and I looked at my brother, him sitting right there, and I told them, I don't think anything's going to beat this. And I said the only one that could possibly beat this was Spider-Man No Way Home. And it didn't. It made it to number 3. That's pretty good. That's good on the list. And this would be Free Guy. Free Guy brought me so much joy. Also, this is a movie that I was excited for. Everybody's like, Zachary was really like, oh, it's not going to be good. it's not going to be good because they spoiled everything in the trailers. It's not going to be a good movie. It's going to be
Boy, was I
boring
wrong.
and not going to like it. And what you get instead is a movie about AIs and a system and what is real, what is not real, and what you should believe in and what love truly is. It's just beautiful, and I think it works on every single front that it can. I love the action sequences. I love the heart moments. I love the story. I like where it goes. I also think this is the only movie I've seen this year that truly has an ending that doesn't leave it open for a sequel. I mean, I'm excited that they're making a sequel. I totally watch the shit out of that movie, but it
If
hasn't.
it doesn't need to.
It doesn't. But I'm excited. It doesn't need it. Like I've never had one. That's fine. It's a whole movie wrapped up in this movie, and it's refreshing to see because it doesn't happen. Also, it's one of those movies that you could tell they're banging on a budget, but they spent every single penny that they had, and it was worth it the entire time. This movie was. It's just absolutely fucking flawless.
Okay. My number one film. I have calculated it. In the amount of times that I've seen this movie, I have seen almost 3.5 days worth of this film. I collectively have watched it almost 7 times, fully, not taking a break. This to me is not just one of the best comic book movies of the year. This is one of the best films of the year, and that's Zack Snyder's Justice League. I've really thought about it. I have gone back and forth and between this one and hang on, and Spider-Man. I've been thinking about it a lot for the past couple of weeks, and Justice League just it did something no other film in history has done. It's made me flip on a franchise in that I loved Man of Steel. I did not like the theatrical version of BVS. I did not like the theatrical version of Justice League. I thought this DCEU thing was done. And, I didn't understand why they gave this man so much to work with. But after watching Justice League, he is the man for the job. He will always be the man for the job. And the the sweat, the tears, the actual tears that go into this movie for multiple reasons. The story behind this movie. But when you take all that away and you just look at this 4-hour epic film, it doesn't feel like 4 hours. And the 7 times I've watched it, I'm never bored. I feel like that time just flies. He gives my favorite character of the year is Victor Stone, Cyborg. To know what they did to that character in Justice League hurts me inside so much. They butchered a genuinely compelling and moving character. And the way they make Barry Allen so much better in this movie. He's not just a jokester. He wants to do good. He wants to be good. The way they use Diana in this movie, her theme in this film, those gigantic choirs, when they come on, I get pumped every fucking time. It's just Steppenwolf, such an upgrade. He is so more. And my favorite Batman of any live action Batman is Ben Affleck, and this is his best performance because he cares about it. You can feel it. And Henry Cavill is Superman. This is a arc film for him. Man of Steel, BVS, Justice League all have one arc for his Superman. I'm never going to see a part two. I know that for a fact. So I know that my Superman got his arc done and done. And I have never felt more as a DC fan, I've never felt more happier to watch a movie than Zack Snyder's Justice League. And every other film I've seen this year has not been able to reach that limit. And that's why it's my number one film of the year. My most surprising film of the year is Don't Look Up. Because holy shit balls. What a film. End credit scene. Stay for it. Stay for it. You
He's not
think I'm
pointing at
kidding?
me.
Stay for it.
Yeah, you should. I mean, you don't have to stay for it. It's on Netflix. Just fast forward to it. Trust me, you won't want to miss it.
No.
You
Tramp
all
stamp.
right? What do you want to do? Do you want to
I've
save these things?
Yeah, I want to save the one for after we get another episode.
Okay.
Hawkeye, I don't have a lot to say. I think you have more to say on than I do. So if you want to get, I will sit here and listen to you talk about Hawkeye for a little bit if you want. Because I feel like I told you how I felt about it, but
Well,
I don't
you're
know
not
how you.
telling me. You're
Oh, I know,
telling.
but I don't know how you feel about it.
Did I not tell you?
No, we did. We haven't talked about it.
Oh wow, I just really catch you in that. So
Yeah,
wow, okay. So Hawkeye finale aired a week ago from the day that we're filming this, which is crazy. And I had rewatched the entire series. So I watched all 6 episodes back to back, leading up into this finale, which is the way to do it, by the way. It's the way to do it. And this is full spoilers, by the way. Obviously, we're talking about the finale. I just want to make sure everybody understands that in case you haven't watched it. I loved it. I loved Hawkeye as a whole. The finale, I think, did a lot for a lot of people because a lot of people were not really sure how they felt about it. And I think you'll definitely know how you feel about it at the end of this, at the end of the episode. I love the fact that it was an hour long. I think that's very important. And I really enjoyed the character developments here. I also have to say that I think I am biased, and I've said this before. This follows Clint Barton, who I've adored since he first showed up on screen in 4, not Avengers, but I don't like 4, so like, don't judge me for that. And
I'm proud of you.
thank you. I've been working on it. Um, and Kate Bishop is one of my new favorite characters in the MCU. I mean, she's up there with Wanda as one of my favorite characters. This is also an ode to Black Widow, Natasha, which a lot of us walked out of Endgame thinking, "What the fuck?" I was one of those people that was like, "Well, I understand. I understood what they're trying to do. She's a very secretive person. This would be something that they would want to try to shield from." But I think the more you analyze a lot of the conversations between Clint and Yelena, and the way how she just strongly feels that her sister wouldn't leave her, wouldn't make that sacrifice even if it was to the whole world, then you start to think back onto why Natasha had to do it and things. It gets me in my feels every fucking time.
It
And
makes her wearing her jacket in Infinity War all more important.
it's just it was everything I wanted it to be. And I can say that about the whole series. I never had one episode this whole entire time where I was like, that didn't jazz for me. And I have to say, if it didn't jazz for me the first time, it really jazzed for me when I watched them all back to back, like immediately. I had watched a lot of these episodes multiple times already. And so seeing them in, consecutive order was phenomenal.
What do you
And
think of the big guy?
so Kingpin, that's a great question. A lot of people are mixed on it. I really liked him. I think I enjoy everything with him. Not the shooting in the head part. I'm not really worried about that. But it was more like on the lines of I didn't like the making him like a beanbag, type of thing. And
But that's Kingpin.
no, I know, but for some reason in this, it just made him come out silly and like they were making fun of him and things. I took it in a way of like it was like I felt bad for him. I was like, and I didn't want to feel bad for him, you know what I mean? And the only intense scene that I actually truly thought, oh my god, I think you're gonna hurt someone is when he rips off the door.
Good God.
And so I think I could have used a little bit more of that. I also think if they were going for the more silly route, which is what they ended up going for, which is fine, that is very true to the character. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it just felt off here. Then they probably should have left him out of the main costumes that he was in, because on top of them doing all these things to him that made it seem really silly, the costumes also didn't help. I understand it's very true to who the character is, but I think
That's
they're
staff, man.
I think it just needed a little bit of a balance for me personally. And I have to agree with a lot of people. I think I don't think it was a switch of a villain or anything like that. I just think him coming in last minute in that final episode, I think kind of hurt as well. I think he should have been a little bit more placed throughout the season, and I think it would have been more organic and better. And a part of me just thinks he was there for Echo, to set up that next series,
Mm-hmm.
which is also it's not a problem. It's just it took away from the parts that I really wanted. Like I would rather had more Yelena over Kingpin, in my opinion. I'm happy he's here, but I think he could have been saved or he could have been used better. So yeah, that'd be my only thing that I would be like, whatever, like about it. But when Yelena jumps outside the building, the fights in this final episode are yeah, it made up for. I think it made up for anybody who was like, I don't really like the fights in this TV show. I think this made up for it all.
Trick arrows, man. When they shoot that one truck with the pin arrow and they go, "What happens with this one?" Like, I really don't know. Owl.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people died. I was, the more Marvel starts to kill off people on screen, I guess they have always done it, but because they're talking about it more often now than any time before, it just gets really shocking. And then you start to question maybe they should be under supervision. And after Doctor Strange 2 comes out, we're all gonna be like, maybe they really should be under
Supervision.
supervision. Like we're all like, Soviet Accords, fuck you. They're all like, maybe Soviet Accords actually weren't that bad. So yeah, that was my
Especially because because you have closed captionings on, you hear those guys in the truck and they go, "Oh my god, what happened?"
so yeah, I fucking loved it. This was a perfect show for me personally. This I like WandaVision more. It brings me more joy. But it does. But I would say out of like actually perfect stories that we got from Marvel this year, I would say Hawkeye was better than WandaVision.
I
WandaVision
love
still
Hawkeye.
has a few parts in it that because it was so long, because of 9 episodes, that it doesn't always all work together.
Yeah.
And I wanted more Wanda, and they gave me more Sword, and I was like, I don't, I don't care. It's worth it, but like, I don't care. So yeah. Either way, we talked about WandaVision a lot already this year, so we don't need to talk about it here. All right, that's
Yeah.
my final thoughts. I just want to talk about it because we were talking about the season beforehand.
We will talk about Book of Boba Fett on the next podcast. That'll be coming up. Then we're gonna wait till episode 2 because I feel like episodes 1 and 2 will probably go together a little bit
Yeah,
better.
I honestly really just had no thoughts and opinions.
As a Star Wars fan, there are moments in this episode that I was like, by the way, if you're a Parks and Rec fan, when Patton Oswald almost 20 years ago to the day says, "And when the mighty Mandalorian gauntlet punches through the sand, there is Boba Fett coming out of the sand." That's what that's come from. Patton Oswalt predicted what was going to happen in Star Wars. It's a beautiful thing. It makes you feel good to be a nerd. Just thought
So,
I'd point that out.
do
I loved
you
it.
do you want to talk about what we have been watching, or do you want to skip the segment?
Um,
We talked about a lot of different things. So I mean, we talked about technically what we've been watching for the best and
yeah.
worst movies of the year. We just didn't talk about TV shows, so it's up to you.
Um, we'll save it.
Okay. So the last thing I just want to very quickly talk about is obviously movie commentaries. Now,
We've
obviously,
been going back and forth on what we should be watching.
for the first week of January, the way this is gonna work, for anybody who's curious, so far last year we did the same thing. We had chosen a movie for our respective birthdays
Hmm.
that we just get to watch and we pick it for ourselves. And it doesn't matter whoever, like, it could be a stupid movie, it could be a really like a movie we've never seen before, but we're picking it for our birthdays and it doesn't matter what it is. The only exception is we can't have already done a movie commentary. Like, Zachary want to watch Endgame for his birthday. We already have an Endgame commentary, so we can't watch Endgame type of thing. That's the only exception to this rule. So Zachary gets to pick the first movie commentary because his birthday comes first, fucking asshole. And then I get to pick the second movie commentary, so that will happen the second week of January. And then,
And I can tell you what that first commentary is gonna
oh,
be.
okay. We don't have a date yet.
We don't have a
But
date yet, but I can tell you what the movie's gonna be. Drum roll. Bumblebee.
Oh, yay! Okay, that's good.
I'm
Yeah, I think
excited.
that's a good one. I'm not entirely sure what mine is, but I will announce it in the next podcast anyway, so it doesn't matter. And going forward, I want to say for the first like month or two of the year, I wouldn't mind trying to do a movie commentary like we were doing before, like once a week or something like that. Just try to get back into the swing of things. Once
Yeah.
we get back into the swing of things, we can start playing around with the schedule. But when we
Yeah.
were doing it like weekly, we were like really on it, and
Yeah.
it was really nice, and I really liked it. So that's I think the main goal. And we do have a few fun ones,
Yeah, we talked about one of them in your worst movies list, and I still don't want to do the commentary to that movie.
which is fine. We can choose the other one instead.
I think the other one, to be completely honest, would be a lot more fun with an audience because I guarantee you half our audience has no idea what the fuck that is. So I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yet my only issue is I just gotta hunt it down. We might not have choice if I can't
I
find it.
know.
But okay, Zachary, go ahead and go ahead and do the outro.
Thank you very much for being here with us today. Thank you very much for being here with me on my birthday. I'm 26 today. What the fuck? Let us know
Holy.
what your guys' top 10 movies and worst movies of the year were down in the comment section below. Let's start a conversation, get that going. As always, make sure to like, rate, subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way you know every time we get a notified video. Make sure to go to our Spotify and check out our podcast over there on Apple. We appreciate you if you do it with us over there. We will let you know about Oscars and all that kind of stuff when we get closer to it in the end of the coming year and how we're going to do all that. And make sure to check back here for movie commentaries, podcasts, reviews, all that fun stuff. And we'll see you guys in the next video.
Hold on, before you start doing the song, I would like to mention for anybody who is curious, we're not doing Golden Globes this year.
Nope.
We have decided that we were not going to do it, so we were just doing Oscars. This is because we looked over the list, and I don't really know how much impact it's going to have, and so I don't feel like putting in thought into it.
I wish we would cover the Critics' Choice Awards.
Yeah, so do I, but we didn't, so that does suck.
It is what it is.
Next year, we know.
Next year.
Yeah, okay, now you can do the song.